All right, everyone. I want to thank you all so much for sitting tight and hanging in there for us as we get ahead and get started. But we are all here now and ready to get started with some more Song of Rapture right here on Lionhead Gaming. So, without further ado, Monsieur Omen, I pass the reins over to you.
Left our valiant vanguard in the city of Inalin. They had come together after quite some time of rest, recuperation, and otherwise study and preparation for a moment that would weigh heavily on the shoulders of one of their allies to make quite a hardy decision. And some things were revealed in that moment, things that when a plan was being put together, some things being brought forth to light to help possibly test or even temper the bonds that bind this group. But what exactly happened last session is not necessarily my story to tell, so as quickly as we can we reveal what happened last time on the last episode of Song of Rapture. There we go, time my button.
Previously on Song of Rapture, I got you. The Valiant Vanguard had spent a week in the Crystal City known as Inalin, the home city to their very own Persephone. In that time, Tamar, Khan, and Samantha had gained the trust of the kingpin beneath the city in an underground settlement known as the Root Bellows. He let them in on a venture he was working on to absorb the magic from the Zendaluralda and to distribute it to the other underground settlements that did not have easy access to the resource. The two theorized right away that this plot could be another source of strain on the tree that Perse was so concerned about, and returned to the surface world with this in mind. Kuldor had been asked to humor Lysarin, the Wildfire Prince, who made a game of challenging the Illyrian soldiers in just about anything to test their strength. Despite being asked to handle the situation, Kuldor was met with some caution from the elves, since they were all aware that he was a soldier on the other side of the war that they fought decades ago. But Kuldor kept to his mission and sat himself before the prince, challenging him to an arm wrestling match. And effortlessly, he was able to best Lysarin. But the victory was short-lived when a familiar face approached them. Heldora, a knighted elven soldier from the capital city, Ronin, approached the former shield of Samaria to open an old wound and pour salt directly into it. It was revealed that she was the very soldier responsible for his banishment, when her axe cut off the hand of Quill's ward, who recklessly ran into battle. But despite the ward causing the trouble, Quill paid the price as his knight, and supposedly this meant his title was stripped from him, which Heldora reveled in. With all of his strength, Kuldor was able to keep his composure and exit the barracks. Persephone was summoned by her father to have a discussion in private. Over tea, they first talked on a personal matter about Perse leaving, although neither of them were really prepared to mend that old wound and stood firm that their decisions were justified. High Lord Kylon insists that what he had always done was best for his children, while Persephone insisted that his actions have unintended consequences. He quickly moved away from that topic to get to the real reason he summoned her, and that was to try to calm her concerns over this wedding. He shared that Oath Lord Galleon had brought forward the proposal of a union between Queen Titania and one of the Oath Lords on the council, specifically Rael, who the Queen took a fancy to. In exchange for this union, Queen Titania would give Illyria the blessing of the Seelie Court, a boon that would infuse more magic into the Elven lands, perhaps cause the crystal tree itself to produce more seeds, allowing magic to spread further around Illyria. But most importantly, to Persephone's family, it would repair the reputation of her family after the Civil War. In fact, it sounded like Oath Lord Galleon had a lot of involvement in this bargain. Not even Kylon had a chance to speak with Queen Titania. But when invited to go with an escort of the Valiant Vanguard, the High Lord refused and forbid Persephone from meddling in the wedding preparations any further. Their conversation came to a quick close when the Lord had other matters to attend to, but before leaving, his daughter left him with a bit of advice: to start listening to his children when they speak, and to stop expecting them to answer how he wants them to. The Valiant Vanguard came together for a lunch, where they were to discuss their next course of action, but before sharing what she recently learned, Persephone opened the discussion about the party's relationship. She expressed feelings of loneliness due to the space her friends were giving her, and in turn, it was her friends who told her that the space is what they thought she wanted. A much-needed conversation, in Persephone's opinion, also revealed where they all stood with each other, including that Kuldor felt not as close to the group, and more like a sellsword. It was also here where they learned that Kuldor ran into this unfriendly familiar face, and how he may still have some bitter feelings from the war. And after airing out some of these tensions, Samantha turned the conversation back to Persephone and asked her how she was feeling in the whole wedding mess. And while Persephone vented out her conflicting goals, she shared with her friends what she learned from her father, and that she's come to the conclusion that they should steal the key and leave for the Feywilds with Calliope, the artful nymph. Swift Hollow was ready for this suggestion, as she already had a skeleton key made for just this occasion. And after hashing out what other accommodations would be needed to be made, the Valiant Vanguard made the decision that they could leave Inulin that night. So we rejoin our heroes with a heist in place and some farewells that Persephone needs to make. So join us as we write another verse in Song of Rapture.
Very well done, Mel. Give yourself some deep inspiration.
I already have it.
Oh, I meant to roll a D100 then.
Boop. Ooh, that's my lowest roll to date.
I think it might be.
Really good.
Pop that right in there. Don't think that makes a difference. Wonderful. As indeed, we find ourselves rejoining the Valiant Vanguard on what's now the later afternoon, soon encroaching upon evening of March 30th, a Wednesday in this new year. As it seems as if a number of our party members had spent some time preparing for what seems to be a journey to come ahead into the wilderness, while a couple of them are preparing for something else, a more daring heist, not just simply for a small treasure. No, this is something crucial to the upcoming wedding that will define the future of Illyria, the Elven nation. They're going to try and steal a portal's key from the High Lord's chambers. As assuming nothing else particularly you guys want to talk about, we can go right to the heist. Sweet. As the sun is reaching lower in the sky in this area, maybe touched by the magic itself, it takes on this sort of soft amber hue as evening will soon be reaching this place. The guards have posted themselves up upon their pedestals as well as making their rounds in the Diamondstone district. What exactly are Swift Hollow and what I'm assuming to be Samantha doing to prepare themselves for this heist?
Not really being much of a thief herself, just being a relatively accomplished caster, Samantha is trying to follow in Swift Hollow's mental footsteps and just try to get an understanding of how this is supposed to shake out, what exactly it is she needs her to do to be the most efficient gear in this watch, as she put it, to make sure nothing goes wrong.
Persephone also gave her Stone of Reservation to Swift Hollow and Samantha with a Pass Without Trace cast into it, and also gave Swift Hollow a note, or like a bundle of parchment saying, "Can you please, when you take the key, leave this there for my father."
Especially silent, Swift Hollow is.
Pass without any trace.
Lost
Peter?
Follow.
Uh-oh.
We lost our route.
Oh no, our star of the heist.
Cancelled.
Oh no!
It's alright, I can sneak. I got +7 to sneak.
Sorry, something happened.
That's okay.
Break my attention. Sorry. What was the
That's
question?
right.
Persephone gave Swift Hollow the Stone of Reservation with the Pass Without Trace spell in it, and then gave Swift Hollow a bundle of parchments and told her to please leave this there for my father to find when you take the key.
Certainly. Yeah, so with all I take it in, just give you a firm nod. As to, the question was something about what we're doing to preparing, right?
Basically, what do you do? Like, basically, we have reached
Yeah.
the encroaching evening of Inulin. The sun is setting. The guards are taking their post, ready for the sun to set, darkness to fall over. And yeah, basically, you just have some time to prep. So I'm just kind of figuring out what are you guys doing during this time. You know, like getting your gear together, grabbing your items. Sounds like Persephone's handing off an item, a small amethyst, as well as a letter. Anything you want to say you're doing, or you just want to jump right into it?
Yeah, obviously I went to my room to collect my stuff, pack all that stuff back into my bag, get
Oh,
ready to
yeah.
go on the road.
Yeah, I had spent the day with my mother and my brother earlier that day. Let them know that I'm leaving that night, and telling them to keep an eye on Father. And to Ral, I asked him to keep an eye on Uncle Galion. It seems he's kind of in control of this bargain, and that doesn't make me feel very comfortable.
Go up
Oh,
to
thank-
Persephone's child of Pantherin and ask him to keep an eye on Bran, just kind of train him as a knight.
Yep, Theron would be pretty open to it. He's kind of caught wind recently that you guys have yourselves a squire. Maybe kind of, I mean, it seems like if you guys are going to be busy with something, he doesn't really question it, but if you want to leave Brandon in his care, he'd spend some time training him. He'd take him on some patrols. Doesn't really have a whole lot of time for anything really hands-on, but he'd be willing to show him how the elves essentially do their soldier work, how they make their rounds around the place, and if they have time, maybe a spar, sort of test his mettle. Okay.
On Smith Hollow's end, yeah, it just seems everything's in place. All the correct tools that she would need are replaced by magic. So it seems.
All right.
He's not too worried about it.
Are
Is
we
that-
meeting up
Because
at...
we have pass, we have invisibility. We have fly,
So-
right? No? I thought we had pixies.
Do you need flying?
Why would
Flying
be
would be nice.
easier than climbing?
Oh wait, I don't have flying. Never mind.
Do you want to fly? Because I ain't got fly, guys.
Okay.
You want carpet?
Thought you were dimension dooring in and out.
No, we're dimension doing
Oh, that's right. You
out.
can only do
No.
that once. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We're dimension doing
Keep forgetting
out. I thought we were
Uh,
flying in.
still.
Oh no, what I always say, I could just make you guys climb walls. I just can't make you fly.
Is that what we were doing? Okay, then yeah.
Yeah.
That works too.
I can also do it. I can also only do it to one person.
Okay, so then. Oh,
I thought you had spider climb. Isn't that a spell?
It doesn't
You
say
did
it.
outcast.
It does not.
okay, how high is the window?
Huh?
It couldn't be more
How
than
many people?
50 feet, right?
It was about 90 feet from where you dropped. You were at it is one of the top rooms of the Emerald Chateau.
What the heck? Why would you make a spell that's concentration? You can't up. What the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
The spell is trash. I hate this. You can't even fucking make it so your party can climb up. What the fuck? Yo, I'm gonna have.
What's the
words with Jeremy
mechanics
Crawford.
of using a rope to climb?
Effectively, you need a place to hitch that rope, and if you climb it, you get yourself advantage on athletics checks. If it's just hard enough to where you have to make a check, a rope might make it so easy that you don't need it. But it is a pretty straight wall. You'd probably need a check to climb it.
I thought the point of this was Swift Hollow can climb really easily. I thought the problem was Samantha.
Yeah, it was. But Smith Hollow also kind of needs help. These. You guys kinked my plan. I thought we had fly.
We had a week, guys.
I mean,
Yeah, I know. I thought we had fly.
No, we already decided on spider climb last week.
Did we? I don't know. I thought I could have sworn. Huh.
Yo, Persephone, summon some fairies. Give us fly, please. Jesus.
Yeah.
Sure. As in your time, you could use some of your magic to conjure forth, assuming you're trying to conjure pixies. Seems quite prevalent, use your magic to summon quite accurately these creatures. Same ones that seem to have, at least appearing ones, seem to have summoned before when you're dealing with a certain burning tree. As you'd have a couple pixies flying around, if you want to use their magic, they'd totally be willing to do so. Sprinkle some pixie dust on you guys, and suddenly a strange feeling of lightness takes over, and your bodies seem to be so light when you step off the ground that you could almost lift off and never touch again. For at least an hour. Or 10 minutes.
And then we
10
moved
minutes.
Past. Okay, so then we have invisibility from Samantha. We have pass without a trace from Persephone. I have the knock pick. You have the silence. We have the way out. Okay, I think we're set.
Are we
Smith Hollow
meeting?
makes the checklist out loud. Yeah, she's like
You
checking
might-
off everything. Invisibility, flight. Alright. Are we ready?
Did anyone check to make sure that Dad's not going to be in his office at that time?
It's dinner time.
Oh,
It's
okay.
supper,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, but it's
Right.
late evening.
It's been established. He like goes out of his room. Yeah, it's okay. We have invisibility. I'm gonna pass
We
without a
can
trace. I'm
invisibly
sure we
look
can
through the
deal with it.
window.
You
Yeah,
can also
we
check
can
around the
invisi-
area while you're prepping to see who's here, who's not, where they are.
Sure.
Cool. That's part of the prep.
Reconnaissance. Of
I
As-
course.
send my
'Cause I thought of it that far ahead.
Yeah, we totally
Sure.
have Luna throw up a telepathic bond so we can radio each other immediately.
Yep.
Pass along
So that we all
information
have our
faster.
earpieces in, of course.
Absolutely.
As we're walking out of the city with the key in hand, we retroactively tell each other what we all did to show out the heist, as you do in heist movies.
Oh yeah, we're Ocean 11ing it.
Sure. So with magic, it's taking some time to reconnaissance. Later, probably in the evening, like closer to when you're ready to take on this task, you would probably notice with some of your sharpened eyes, especially yours, Swift Hollow, quite perceptive, that you would actually notice that Lord Kalon is leaving the chateau. Seems like dinner has, at least on his end, ended early. He and what actually appears to be Oath Lord Galleon are making their way back towards the grotto behind the chateau, presumably to possibly investigate the portal again. At least go back to work on it.
Does he just leave the key in his room, or does he need it? How does that? I remember you cased his room or something, right? Swift Hollow.
If he has the key, then he'll return it back. But the way that the key returns, it seems, is to teleport itself. Well, not
Seems like the key returns once you
yeah.
use the bottle. It seems like it's
Yeah.
time to regain his magic. I can keep an eye on him, let you know when he's about to do it.
That would be great.
If
We only need the flight to get in because you have your teleportation magic to get us out.
Yes.
Alright,
Do
I
we
think
need
we should be fine.
Do we need somebody to watch the doors and make sure no one else is coming towards the room?
If need be, I can send one of my familiars in front of the door to stay invisible.
Alright, so you watch with a familiar from the door, and then Luna and Persephone wait in Persephone's room. That'll be our teleportation exfiltrate point with a dimension door, and then we can meet back up
Doesn't
with...
his office have like a separate door? Compared to like... Isn't his room like an entire suite?
Basically, he has a large
Yeah.
room. You guys are going through a window to get inside, it sounds like.
Yep.
And yeah, it sounds like the windows are in the
only-
bedroom part and in one of his studies, but not in his office.
And the only person that would possibly go into the room is Persephone's mom.
Yeah. Or
Maybe.
seems like one of the maids, as you had managed to do.
Yeah, and we can be invisible. You can just invisibly sit in the corner and wait. The
Okay.
key to come back. Oh gosh, I hope it comes back.
Okay.
So yeah, to my should trail. So then to my should trail. The dudes.
To let us know when you
Persephone's
start flying up.
father, yeah. Or it's taking too long. I mean, he's to my Tongue
Just
click
knock
noise.
them out and just take
Finesse
the
'em.
key and run.
Finesse 'em.
All right.
so we're waiting for him to activate
That's
the
the plan
portal.
B.
this
The
evening.
plan B is Tamar gets the key. Plan A is Swift Hollow and Samantha get the key and exfiltrate out successfully. Plan B is Tamar gets the key.
If anything goes wrong.
Because we might be here for a while, depending on what they're doing, because we don't know what exactly they're doing.
That I can do.
It might take some time to get to the grotto itself, and if he uses magic to return the key, maybe he uses magic to summon the key, so maybe you can take it before he summons it. And if you do that, then we have to leave really fast.
Agreed. If this takes more than an hour, and this magic fits, how about is that spire there? Keep an eye on it. If it becomes cloaked in fog, where the spire itself disappears, you'll know he is about to do the deed. Oh, he has already done the deed of opening the portal, and the key should be back into his room. Yes?
It should. Alright. Now that we've worked out that kink, are we ready, Samantha? Let us go.
How about for that spire over there? If that spire disappears, it means I have taken the key and I have fled. And you should probably make a quick exit as well.
Certainly.
I've already sent Calliope's retainer and told her to meet us in the room so we can all go together.
Then our exit will be hasty no matter what. This is good.
I wonder if you can send like mental images through telepathic bond.
I don't think so. I think it's only telepathy.
No, we've established this by Tamai-Con imagining us all naked.
Ah, that's right. That did happen.
I remember that back in the arena.
Oh my
Good point, good
God.
point.
Alright. So, we wait for your father to go to the teleport place to activate the portal. If he does, I give you a message. You go and take the key, and we vamos. If he does not use it, then I use my handiwork to take it, let you know that I have it in my possession, and then we flee from there. Yes?
Indeed. We get the key one way or another.
Good to know. Yeah, basically.
Then let us move.
This
No
is
time
I've
to
got.
waste.
This
Okay.
is your good to steal it. there's
Yeah.
there's my beacons.
Yeah, those are spires.
Alrighty.
Depending on which spire I make disappear with my fog.
As quietly and carefully Tamar Khan stalks off in the direction of the grotto to once again keep his eyes on the presiding Oath Lords, while two apparently heavily magically clad and charged individuals gracefully make their way up and stealthily up this building. You can see there are guards stationed along all sides of this place, but their eyes seem to be trained mostly towards the outside rather than the inside, not expecting them to be within, but I'm still going to ask for some stealth rolls. See how basically unnoticed you guys move.
So Thala will cast Pass Without a Trace on us.
Absolutely.
Oops.
That's done my kind.
Using the power of Persephone Stone. I guess you will
Absolutely
also cast it in the presence of Tamai-Con. I mean, how
That'd be a
far
good
away
idea,
are you?
yeah. Just
Yeah.
assuming you cast it and then go, because it lasts for a while.
Yep.
How
Cool.
long does it
I
last?
got Tamai-Con.
10 minutes?
hour.
It's only 10 minutes, or is it an hour? Hour.
An hour.
Okay, good deal.
Dude.
Hour?
So about as
Copy.
long as the magical mind shit also. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Good deal.
Alright.
Tamakon's gonna ask for some guidance anyways while he stalks off after the father.
Uh-huh. All right, give me them rolls, baby.
Roll the bones.
Oh
Ooh.
my God.
I already added my plus 10, that's why I have a 23.
Oh, okay. I was
Oh, you got me by 1. I got 35.
Time to roll a 4.
Hey,
20.
20.
Traced.
Not bad.
It's for
Not
you,
bad at all.
Samantha.
Let's see. Nice.
It's hard
As
to
yeah.
suppress my presence. People can feel my killing intent.
Uh-huh. As you're making your way up the building, Sotolo, in her natural element, able to use the now growing shadows that stretch up from the walls in the presiding buildings to hide, and Samantha following after in quick and now quite nimble pursuit. You've found yourself quite able to sort of blend in with your environment. You felt this way before when you've turned yourself into a serpent and allowed yourself to sort of blend in with your surroundings, but now, thanks to the use of this magic, it's much easier. And Tamarkon, same as you, with thanks to the magic presiding from this stone, you find yourself able to quite easily blend in with your surroundings, the edges of your fur becoming as dark and as green as the surrounding foliage, as you're able to slink off, just as you did before, to skulk after the Oath Lord. I guess both Oath Lords, technically. As within, where are we at? There we are. You would find yourself rising up 90 feet to a small half circle, I guess a hemicircle window that presides where you remember, Sotalo, that you had previously left unlocked. And with a slight jostle of its edge, you would find that indeed, as carefully placed as you had left it before, unnoticed except for maybe a discerning hand, the window slides open. I guess really pulls open, rather. Pushes open in towards the building. and you're able to very carefully and nimbly slip your way inside. As in the depths of this dark, you would find yourselves inside of the king's chambers. Quiet in this room. There's no longer a soft fire lit within as you'd seen before, Swift Hollow. Things are a soft, dim color, it's a chill in the air, a stillness, a lack of life that your quite sharpened perception would notice. You can hear the soft clinking and clinking of, sounds like either silver or mithril armor, somewhere off in one of the other doors, you presume, possibly down by the exit where you previously entered, guarded by a pair of sharpened eared elves. Your footsteps, while guarded by magic, may still make some noise. As what do you do?
Gingerly float over the surface of the ground.
There you
Yeah. Yep.
go.
Hover
As you know-
away. I'm
As
assuming this is the door.
you would find that would actually be one of his other studies.
That'd be funny if that was a wardrobe.
Mhm.
Oh, which one is it?
You know it's this
On.
far bottom right one.
Ah, of course. I'm big brain. Alright.
As you'd
we
float towards this
on
large
over
set of double doors.
with Hollow. Preens her ear next to the door just to make sure.
All right, you put your ear against the door. Give me a perception check.
Ah.
It seems as if you, for a moment, you maybe hear the slightest jostle of furniture, but it's coming not from there, but from behind you. You think maybe from one of the other doors. Probably the guards. But the room next to you seems empty.
No keyhole for her to look inside, huh?
You can look down. There is a keyhole. You put your eye against it, try to look through. Again, you could see some soft light coming through from within. The mechanisms within seem to be quite well guarded, more than you'd expect. Just leaving a small pinhole of light. It seems like there might be some sort of either candlelight or something inside illuminating this, but from the straight shot, you just see it looks to be the edges of a shadowed bookshelf, but no life within.
Then carefully she'll crack open the door.
As you
Just a
push
little
against
bit.
pushing
Oh,
gently,
it pushes out? Right, yeah, then.
it doesn't open.
Now it's locked. Oh, good thing there's a keyhole. As, yeah, Swift Hollow will attempt to unlock it.
All right. As I'm going to need a dexterity lock-picking check. As you'll be putting your pin within this, a couple of small metal straps going inside of this small hole, but very carefully created for this very task. You'd feel immediately as you're beginning to work this, from your expert eye, this thing is quite simple in design. I mean, it's designed to keep a lord's chambers guarded, but you do feel suddenly, like as you push up against one mechanism, a slight shift against your action, as if this lock is actively working against your lockpicks. It seems to be a lot harder than the eye would let on. As I'm gonna need that check.
Okay, and Swift Hollow uses, thanks to her friend, or I guess friend's a heavy term, thanks to her compatriot, partner in crime, Gizmo, her Q, using her Nightcrawler Chatels, a very expertly crafted set of these tools, and Tinker tools. 34.
Hey! Mamma mia.
We're gonna go
As you
for a
feel this
36.
mechanism fight against you, it's literally like as if you were dueling a locksmith who was putting together a lock against your actions, which were trying to take it apart. This thing is almost animated in its own right, but as you begin to utilize the specialized tools you were granted by your ally, you find yourself gaining the edge until eventually you hear that soft little as the door is unlocked. And as you do so, you can see just from the shifting of the mechanics inside the lock, there's almost like a small ripple of light that seems to go from its center out to the edges. And then the door is unlocked.
As from the stone,
Jesus
Swift
Christ.
Hollow. Yeah, plus 15, eh? As Swift Hollow from the stone casts I believe, detect magic.
Okay.
That's
Right,
As
Persephone?
all right, as the veil surrounding you suddenly fades away. You're still floating through the air, still granted magic by these creatures that now unseen, but your presence is no longer as well suppressed. But in doing so, your senses are opened and you're able to pick up and discern upon the presence of magic around you. One of them seeming to immediately bombard you as you are staring down a door that seems to be surrounded and suffused with said magic. You can sense, what is it, 30 feet? Do-do-do-do. Yeah. Nice. As you can feel the door in front of you immediately strikes and glows before your eyes as being touched by magic, all of it coalescing around the lock itself. And even inside, you can maybe sense the presence of magic behind this door.
Yeah, she looks through the lockpick hole again. Directly
Alright.
across the door.
Yep. Again, you're looking up and down. Give me a perception check because you're kind of angling yourself to get a good look at stuff. Yep, with that, more than enough. You're able to peek one direction, look the other. You don't see much signs of life. There's a harsh corner on either side that leads off towards what looks to be more walls of bookshelves. It's not a particularly large room you're looking at, maybe only by 30 by 15 in design. But you do see a desk that you saw a bunch of familiar shapes on, and one edge you might see the soft glimmer of something gilded, that strange mechanized box. Yeah, hard to tell from here. But you can tell that this room seems to be completely empty.
Okay, no alarm spell.
Oh, you're trying to detect. You do detect magic coming from in front of you, from the door,
Directly in
just from the door
or
itself.
directly in front of the door?
But just on the door
Point of
itself.
spell, huh?
But yeah, there's a behind the door, kind of looking, peering. Don't see much signs of magic besides maybe a soft glimmer on that desk.
And seeing no alarm magic or anything else besides, I'm assuming, probably arcane lock. And yeah, she opens the door carefully,
Okay.
using
Kick
sort
that
of
fucker.
testing it out first, making sure are the locks squeaky. Giving a slight push.
Seems they're quite old, but it seems they're relatively maintained. There's maybe a soft hinging noise, but nothing that really. It's not an old man creaky door that just lets the
Yeah,
whole house know you're opening it.
Yeah,
You
okay.
don't recall it being noisy when you
Hollow.
last came through here.
Yeah, Samantha sees the now visible Smith Hollow with her eyes, I guess, iridescent colored from the detect magic. I guess her pupils, her irises. And she, carefully opens the door and scans the surroundings, not entering in, but then just peeking through the crack she made, getting a better vantage.
All right. Peeking through, you look one direction, you see this now lit wall of books. Again, almost seemingly untouched, pristine in their state. The other end of it, you see a small desk that seems to be surrounded by these small candles of soft flickering blue light. And at the center of this desk, left empty, is it looks to be an open book, a quill that has long since been used, at least possibly earlier in the day, a set of portraits lined up along its face, and of course that strange gilded box sitting next to a furled scroll.
Thala opens the door just enough for her to slip through, and assumedly Samantha probably, I don't know.
Sure.
We're about the same body type, I assume.
One, you just really tall.
Yep. Live. Gaunt. Yeah, she just slips on through.
If I marge my
And,
hair, I can be as tall as you.
Nice.
Indeed.
Yeah, as Swift Hollow makes the motions of, sort of has her gloved hands pressed against the handle and the door, waiting for Samantha to. She can't see her, of course. She could probably kind of feel her presence, but it makes it obvious Swift Hollow is going to close the door once she assumes you're here.
Alrighty.
Float in, slither my way past the door, trying not to touch it. Trying to do a little
Slipping
limbo.
right. Yeah.
I just put a hand on
So
your
weird.
shoulder to let you know that I'm next to you.
I got rid of the dynamic light and I can still see the dynamic light line. It's so weird. Anyway.
And yeah, Swift Hollow with a careful hand, as gentle as she opened it, gently closes the door.
Okay. Sure. That back in place. You would find yourselves in the heart of this study. You see, again, it's not particularly large. The roof is quite high above your head, maybe about 20 feet. Before you seems to be just a long strew of different texts, a lot of them kept in well condition, many bind tomes. The center of this room, next to a gilded chest, is a long table. It looks like some sort of mahogany wood. Before it, a well-plushed chair, as well as it looks like some notes that the High Lord had been taking. Along its face, you can see what Swiftolo saw before, Samantha. A set of portraits, two of them a familiar face. It looks like one of his beloved Sonatus, one of his son Rail, kept in sort of a regal gown, and last one seemingly empty, save for looks to be just a sheet of silvered glass where a person would be. The only person you can see inside of it is yourself. And next to this book, where it looks like he's been writing some notes, is a gilded-looking box, a small. It looks like it would be its own separate piece, but it almost seems fitted to the table itself. That is currently opened in its lid. It looks like it's someone had taken a lid off and completely removed it. It's inside a small indentation where something else would rest. So Tully would remember that this thing seemed to be something of a mechanism that when an object was placed inside, the lid would suddenly close around it. And with your magical eye still perceiving your surroundings, you would see that soft glimmer beginning to coalesce around this thing as well, as it seems like magic is suffusing through it.
He has the key. As Swiftolo taps into the mental link. Tamarkand, how are you looking?
Still wait for now. Where am I? Does he seem to be heading that direction?
I'd say by the time they get up into the building and making here, you would have already been in the grotto, just sort of watching them work. Again, it seems as if they're doing something of quick work in this evening. He's using magic to try and sort of test out a set of what look to be these bright amethyst crystals along the edge of this ever growing detailed portal of theirs, as they're sort of pulling upon some magic to see how it runs through this circle, and you can watch these crystals beginning to glow. A couple of them begin to crack, but the other two seem to be quite stable, as it seems like they're mostly just sort of stress testing some of these reagents. It seems like they're kind of in the midst of their work.
I'm going about their work, but they are experimenting with something different. Some other crystals. I do not know if they are going to open the portal or not, but I'll let you know if they do.
Swiftolo sends a mental nod. As,
Nod.
Yeah, nod.
Nods.
As
All right.
she with quiet steps, goes over here and relocks the door. Just in case. Well, it seems we'll have to make ourselves comfortable. Do you
I
like
can
reading?
do that. I love it, as a matter of fact. Is there any other... There's no magic in here, sort of looking at your eyes?
It's just the box and the lock, right? Or there
Seems
was
like
something
it.
on the bookshelf? Oh.
It seems like the box is the one that seems to be glowing, and behind you is the large door that you recently.
Swiftolo checks the desk drawers.
You just find it looks to be more rolls of parchment, lots of ink, lots of really high quality ink. Things that would be made of, you'd think, probably some of the ground up ores, and as well as other pastels and the like you'd find deep in the mountains. Something that would be probably fetch a pretty healthy price, but what's to expect of a lord? Yeah, he's just sort of hanging out in the room then, just sort of waiting.
Yep.
Cool. I'd say
Swiftolo takes something though.
I know you want to look at it. I know you guys do.
as
Look at what?
Tem-
What? Something he mentioned. Something of interest.
What, the
I know I
mirror
didn't catch it.
painting?
Alright, just plain text.
His notes!
Oh, okay. Yeah. Samantha and Swiftolo can go pour over that then while we're waiting.
Sure.
Catch up on
I
our
was focused on the painting.
lordly note literature.
Okay.
See what he's been up to. I
Thing
guess.
you don't know. Neither of us can read.
For the best thieves in the world. As Temercon, during your time, it seems like some time would pass. Samantha would be pouring over some of the notes to gather information. Temercon, in your time, give me a perception check as you're sort of keeping your eye on these guys, trying to see what they're doing so you can accurately inform your allies of what they're up to in case something changes. Let's see what we can get.
I refreshed. I had my thing closed. My little peepers on.
Oh, geez.
Nice.
Their eyes, 25.
As it seems as if they're speaking quite a bit of mumbled, soft-spoken, I don't know, magic garble. Stuff that you can, I guess, understand if you're just casting magic, but not when they're talking about it in such a sort of strange alien way. But after a while, you could see some of their usage begins to slow, and they even find a bit of a pause in their work, as you can sort of catch wind of a conversation between the two. Seems to be less about the work at hand and more simply just about the goings-ons. You can hear Galleon just sort of softly speaking to Kaelon in the distance, like reaching out and putting a hand on his shoulder, sort of reassuringly. It will all go fine, my friend. You'll come around to it. It's just a matter of time. You have to see the benefits that all will gain from this union. I assure you. Just a bit of time and patience. As Samantha, in this time, poring over these notes, it looks like a lot of things held from... Ooh, what?
So I'm looking at these notes and I'm like, Eldunada Vine. What does this mean, Swift Hollow? I don't understand this, as I do not understand Elven.
You certainly do not.
I presume these are in Elven. If they're not, then
They certainly are.
So I just-
Strangely
Yeah,
important.
there you go. Book club. Yeah, he'll be
Speaks.
Samantha and Swift Hollow pulling up these notes as.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah,
spending
she'll
some time
repeat it
to-
in graceful Elven tongue, and then she'll just repeat it in common.
Sure, spending some time poring over these notes, trying to gather information. Again, it's strange. The actual incantation itself, the actual what's written within the notes, Sotala can translate it, but the actual meaning of it's kind of lost to you. At least, you could catch some of it, Sotala, just through your own ability to discern and put the pieces together. It's actually Samantha who's able to really understand what's being spoken, as it seems that these are notes regarding both magical theory and the use and creation of magical resources, especially that regarding portals. It seems as if Kaelon has been taking notes, sort of taking down what additions as a catalog of sorts of what has been done to this portal, what has been successful, what has not, to try and create the most expedited form of this finalized portal. It seems as if they're making quite a bit of progress. Roll me an Arcana check, Samantha.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Very well done. Your time studying the tomes of
well done.
Elminster, as well as your mentor, who sort of his lessons have stuck behind, have given you quite a bit of insight and knowledge regarding the use of Arcana. Such, in fact, that you're actually able to discern some strange inconsistencies with his notes. You would see mentioned before that uses of rubies and the like, especially that of deep earth gems, would be quite a commonly used catalyst for such things. Diamonds obviously being the best, Zendalure being the most obvious and approachable in this place, but you need a variety of gemstones to create something as complicated as a lasting gate. That's the name they use for this. It's a familiar spell of great power known as the gate. But then you'll find in previous chapters, those that seem like fingers have often referenced, you'd see the opposite. You'd see as if something had been changed. And that's when you can hear the soft tap and tap of footsteps in the main room, heading towards the door.
They're top to the shelves of the bookshelves.
Yes, they're about 10 feet tall. Ceilings are about 20.
Bet. As I will point to Swift Hollow, tap her on the shoulder, get her attention, and then point up to the top of the shelves.
Yeah, you read Swift Hollow's mind. The moment her ears like perk up and sort of twitch at it, she gives you a curt nod of thank you. As she quickly flies up and, thanks to the help of a nondescript black cloak, pulls it tightly. And it's just plastered on the ceiling basically.
Just flatten yourself against the ceiling. Nice.
Yep.
As time would, few
Sticking
moments have
myself
passed,
in the corner.
coiled up against it as you would.
Yep.
Thankfully, the room is quite dimly lit, and so
Yeah,
you
there you
find
go.
yourselves in the edges of
Tuck myself
darkness
in the corner.
here, in that broken little corner. As you would find yourselves nestled away, the footsteps grow louder. Again, soft, but thankfully to at least both of your quite decent perception, A soft set of footsteps lead towards the door until you can see, well, if you hear for a moment them stop, and then the door just seems to open. No sounds of mechanisms being destroyed or turned. It just seems as if the door itself is open, as if it were never locked. As you see from the edge of the shadows, a soft, very quiet but prominent humming voice can be heard, and a cloaked figure walks through quite casually up towards the desk. As you see Lord Galleon making his way as if nothing were wrong, as if nothing were out of place, making his way towards the desk, going through the notes themselves in hand. You can hear for a moment he stops in his movements. He almost like freezes like a statue, and you can see his hands start to rise and gesticulate. You can see his mouth moving softly, the soft, maybe like mumbled hum of a voice coming out, but no words seem to escape. And you see him reach out and put his hand on something unseen, as if resting, and his expression sort of like raises a brow, and he says something with a smile on his face, as if consoling someone who wasn't there.
If you spoke to your father, it seems like he has a second dance, but it seems like your Uncle Galleon is trying to convince him.
Does it seem like he's interacting with a familiar based on my interactions with Snake Wrist Buddy?
Not really. It seems like he's talking to someone at eye level.
Eye level.
Can the Swift Hollows detecting magic eye see anything?
You look him over, you do see sort of the soft, like, pull of magic from him, but not like he's composed of it. It seems more as if he's sort of emanating it, but ever so softly. He sort of stops in his movements and goes back. You can see him move his hand down to the notes and actually reach down with his other hand and take a quill and begin to sort of go through some of the writing here. Spends about a minute or so doing it, and then afterwards sort of puts his quill down, moves his hands away, so just rolls his shoulders and again stops in his path, and then turns to look off in a direction you can't really see. And as he looks, I guess towards you guys, not up towards the ceiling, but thankfully down towards the bookshelves. And you could see for a moment these normally bright, luminous eyes are dim, ever so slightly dimmed before they flash bright again. And as they do, glowing, his words come out again, soft and muffled, as he speaks almost like in the direction of the bookshelf itself. And then he turns.
Tamar Khan, is Lord Galleon still with you?
Yes, he's talking to Persephone's father. Why?
Another Oathlord Galleon in the office.
What?
That's interesting.
Parting right now, but
Oh my God,
this
what
is
is
going to
this?
be
Evil.
As
What is Uncle Galleon's
What an
On-
interesting development.
on your end, Tamar Khan, you can see Galleon, after some more testing, sort of stops and looks off in the direction of the portal, and you can see a smile spread on across his face. You know, you've been spending quite a bit of time here. Galon, I believe it may do you best to refer to your notes. You might find greater wisdom from what we've learned in these past few months. For now, it might be the time to retire.
It seems like my Galleon is trying to convince your father to take rest for the day. They may not be activating the portal. It says that he should go back to his rest and freshen up on his notes.
Galleon's just
Question.
here looking at the notes.
Did my familiar see Galleon go into the room?
Did not.
I don't know how that Galleon got into the room, but he didn't enter through the front door.
Yeah, Swift Hollow, yeah, Samantha just sees like Swift Hollow look over to Samantha. How
Samantha?
interesting.
Swift Hollow? Take those notes.
Oh, I was going to forge them, but I suppose keeping it out of his hands is more necessary, it seems.
As on your end, Tamarcon, you could see after a moment of, I guess, resignation, Kelon reaches out, takes that small thing, barely able to see it in his hand, and again sort of clutches his fist around it, and then again, that shot of light goes up to the air, disappears, and then from your end, Subtile and Samantha, small pillar of light comes down out of the sky, almost out of nowhere, and then falls into the box. You can see it hit and land gently. The small thing barely could fit in the palm of your hand, maybe only a few inches across. Before, as it hits, there's a soft click, and then this aperture seems to close itself around to the lid of the box, as the box now seems closed and contained.
We have the key in the storage place. We can initiate the plan, continue on, and get out of town, and take the notes with us.
Understand. It did seem like he sent it back without activating the portal. I'll keep an eye on him until you are done.
And Swift Hollow gently floats on down.
Everyone be prepared to move.
As she pulls out her skeleton key. And, oh yeah, she takes the book.
Skip with the tome.
Closes it. Yep. Slips it into her bag of holding and has her key out. And gives you the thumbs up that she's ready, Samantha.
As my invisibility drops, and you can see around us, or right on the desk, Swift Hollow, just this soft-looking, like almost like a light projection, almost like something just like a solid piece of matter made out of just magic seems to sort of come into being, strangely sort of scaled like Samantha's own skin, but it's actually a lot thicker and harder. And you realize you're looking at a decently sized, what looks almost kind of like an egg. And then that egg just seems to sort of swallow us up. And we are just inside of it. As I will cast
Calm down,
silence.
Oban.
Egg.
Egg.
As hearing, well, I guess everything was silent, but now not hearing her very silent breathing or Samantha's breathing, or anything at all anymore, not even like the guard's armor, she takes her skeleton key, her knock pick, and puts it next to the box and sort of pantomimes as if she was opening the non-existent lock as she cast knock.
All right, you put the key towards this thing, basically just barely touching it and twist it. You see around, the magic sort of pulses down like a pulse of electricity from the base of the key down towards its tip and then runs around the whole box. Almost seems like there's this strange small barrier, so it's like a box made of force around that suddenly gets rippled with this electricity, sort of silhouetting it, defining it for a moment, before suddenly it seems to disappear and shatter, and the box unapertures. And you can see inside the small, at a closer angle, like maybe a 3-inch on each side cube, covered in runes and made of metal.
Yeah, she quickly grabs it and then gives Samantha another thumbs up and nods.
She looks at you and picks up a piece of paper and wiggles it in front of your face.
She takes it out and puts it back. And then just shrugs. You can see her mouth of words focused on the mission.
She takes the piece of paper, puts it on the desk, writes on it Persephone, and then shows it
Don't
to
you have
Yes,
telepathic
I know
bond?
that. Yeah, that's
Shut up, I forgot about that part. I was so excited to finally cast silence that I wanted to RP that component rather than think about the telepathic bond. You never get to use that spell, damn it. Oh.
Yeah, as Smooth Hollow is also, it's very obvious with the concerns of Lord Galleon, fucking doppelganger, getting in the book, now having to get the book, get the key, and get out of here. Yeah, that kind of slipped her mind. And she, it's very obvious why she didn't use telepathic on there. To say she was focusing on the mission.
Yeah. And
I have an excuse.
I didn't use telepathic bond there because I didn't want to make it seem like
Excuses.
Swift Hollow forgot about Persephone. And then, I'm just wingmanning.
Yeah,
I'm
of
just
course,
wingmanning for you, bro. I got you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Boy.
you don't want to call
Hold on.
fucking Swift Hollow out. Like,
Yeah.
wow, Swift Hollow, you forgot.
I
Wow.
gave you one thing.
The worst.
Yeah,
Hey, helping
there you go.
Persephone was secondary to getting the lock.
Yeah, but we don't need her to know
Not
that.
to
Did you
mention
not
we had
hear the
Lloyd
whole cafe
Gallion.
situation?
Anyways, yeah, I slapped on Persephone's goodbye note as we abscond with his notebook and a couple vials of ink.
I crinkle it up first, spill some tea on it, throw it in there.
Yep. Spit on it.
Haha, whoops. Don't worry, Persephone, I love you. Heart.
Mm.
Yeah,
You
after
gather the things
Alright.
getting
and
the
stick
stuff.
the letters into the box.
Yeah, with everything in place as it should be, I just go over to Swift Hollow and just now actually use the telepathic bond. Everything good?
On their way back, well, besides that, nothing
Alright.
out of the ordinary.
I'm trying to remember. Okay, there's nothing on top of all of those stuffed animals in your room, right, Persephone?
No, there shouldn't be. All clear.
I just put a hand on Swift Hollow's shoulder and
And drop the
Cast
silence, right?
dimension- yes.
Good. Because that'd be a little hard to do that.
It's an obvious exchange. It's like it's
Yeah.
an almost instantaneous exchange because we're not an initiative. It's fine.
Good shit. As good as the moment the egg seems to fade, the silence bubble gone. Up in this place is a small swirl of shadow as you find yourselves falling down into a pile of very soft, very delicate looking plushes of sorts. Something more befitting of a princess's bed. Maybe a different age as you find yourself landing in a soft pile of a gentle landing point.
Dear
Is
judge!
Bobby's room.
When you subtly create stuffed animals and the DM's like, those don't exist, stop it.
Excuse me.
As you would find
Maximum.
yourselves inside of Persephone's room with all your stuff in tow.
Are we ready?
We got the notes, we've got the
Follow
key. We need Tamar, we
That's
need
the
Cool.
letter.
And we need Calliope.
You need Calliope. We did message Calliope, right?
Good. Have I heard back?
You just
sent
sent
a
your
retainer.
dragonfly. You just sent a dragonfly after. Trying to meet on
The
Edge of
West
Town.
Gate.
Get Quildor and we'll make our way in.
I told her we were leaving tonight. I don't know if she understood that she needed to meet with us first or if she's going to meet with us outside the gate. I figured, worst case scenario, we go outside the gate and then I can send Spirit looking for her or something.
You can send
Alright, we should
those
probably
little
get out
short,
first.
fast things again, like you did that other time. Your little speedy messengers.
Anyway,
Exfiltrate from Persephone's room through the palace, trying to not get bogged down in any conversations and just get.
Nonchalantly with the mission, we're too important to talk to you people.
Exactly. We have adventuring things going on. We're busy.
Persephone walks down the hall with her entourage.
Seems like gathering up with your allies, making your way out from the Emerald Chateau towards the edge of town now. You would recall you'd probably have told Calliope to meet you in a certain place outside of the city for logistics' sake. Just assuming you guys would have decided a point. As indeed, you guys would make your way towards the edge of Inolin, making your way from the Diamondstone District down to the Hardstone District, eventually to the far reaches of the, in this case, Eastern Wall. As you would make your way towards the edge of the city, seeing the actual budding, rising forest greeting you on its edge. There we are. Wonderful. We'll go here as a good example. As you guys would see at the edge of this forest, sort of just absently, I guess, strangely out of place. Brand's gone. You would see, who would it be? You would see Persephone actually waiting for the gates with you guys. Although she seems to be dressed in probably less refined garbs, more so just it seems like almost like what you expect of a typical adventurer, soft leathers and flowing cloak. You almost wouldn't think it was Persephone until you'd see the green hair and the budding green smile. And then when she sees you guys approach, a big beaming grin spreads across her face, and the form just seems to wash away like water as you would see young Calliope sort of waving you guys over. Hey, is this a party? Are we doing this? Are we actually doing this? It's gonna be very fun.
Persephone runs up and gives Calliope a hug.
Yes, we're doing this. Let's go.
We're going right now? We want to go to... Oh, this
We're
is
going
so
right now.
very sudden. I did not hear from you for like a week, and you want to go right now? How was your week? How was your day?
Oh, my week was actually really good. Spent some time with Mother and with Ralph. I also spent some time with him this afternoon. We made some flower crowns and I looked at some of Ralph's drawings. And that's kind of why like everything became sudden because I had a conversation with Father and then I thought, well, you know what? I can't really wait to meet Queen Titania, so we
Hey,
need to go now.
hey, this is a lovely reunion and all, but can we talk about this like outside of the walls?
I just called the guards. There's been a theft I've heard, so I thought maybe someone should be knowing about it.
Walk and talk,
Oh.
everyone. Walk and talk.
I suppose
Please.
so.
I don't know how much time we have left.
I guess you guys are so excited to go see the Queen. I like it. I like the enthusiasm. Oh no. As you see her, like her little fluttering fins go above her heads excitedly, and then start to dim down. As you can hear this crackling sound coming up from the edge of the gates, as you begin to sort of push and make her way out. As you can hear a voice calling out just from the edge. Excuse me. Where exactly do you think you're going? I saw you making a haste from the Emerald Chateau with quite some speed. What's going on here? Oh. Hello, Calliope. Is this where you've been hiding all this time outside the city? You little shy one again, little shy flower. Go away, Lucerne. You're so annoying when there's nothing in your business. What are you all doing here?
You see Smithall make like a small sigh of relief. Oh, thank God it's just him.
You there, Krillo! Krillo, I wanted
Yes.
another fight.
Well, actually, we're going. Persephone has a friend out in the woods, and he asked us to go and clean his house, sweeping and mopping and whatnot. He's old and feeble, and isn't able to take care of his estate anymore.
Why not burn it down and build a new one? Sounds like such a waste of time.
You would need to clean the new one.
No, you wouldn't. The ashes would fertilize the new home. It's fine. You grow your homes here, right?
We actually need to
No.
go and dig a latrine. Do you want to come and help us dig a latrine, Lucerne?
Will we get to fight?
No. It's very boring.
Good fight the latrine. We are
Just-
sort of
Just go away, Lucerne. There's nothing to do with you. We're doing our own thing. We're going to clean a house, right? I say you're babysitting. That's fine. But I truly don't care. I came to tell you something. I saw you walking down, and I had a request. I have finally discovered what I wanted from you. Something I've always wanted from you. You're all powerful. You're all mighty. And that Oath Lord Galleon tells me by the end of this union, I'll have the lordship of, well, I guess you call it an elven lord. Simple next to my own title, but it comes with its own perks. I can knight my own soldiers, hire them under me. You hear that, Gildor? I heard you lost your knighthood. I could knight you under myself. Does that not sound fine? It'd solve your problem right then and there.
Is that
The
your
rest of you
request?
as well. Of course.
Tonight, Quildor.
Well, the rest of you as well. It's simple. I put a sword against your shoulder and it gets you power. It's so strange how it works in this world.
The Valiant Vanguard is a geopolitically neutral organization, and we don't really want to swear any true allegiances to any large countries or city-states.
Well, you can always serve it to me. I am no city-state. I am the Wildfire Prince.
I mean, he's correct there.
We hold
He's-
no allegiances to anyone except ourselves.
Yes,
And
I
the
had to make a
lordship within-
promise to Persephone not to allow any nobility to supersede my own leadership. We can certainly form a partnership, an exclusive contract for the Elven lands. These things can be negotiated, but we have
That's
a
not
latrine
exciting
to
at all.
dig, Lucerne. I know it isn't. Lots of politicking.
What of you, Quildor? If the rest of your friends don't wish to play sword on shoulder power, would you like to be knighted?
Singular members can be knighted.
That is a rather interesting offer, Lucerne, but
We didn't.
let me think on it as I clean. I find it to be therapeutic in my thoughts.
Indecisive. You're lucky I like you, Kudo. Fine, but hear me one thing. Next time we meet, I want one more fight. And not a dance of flame. Not another gallivanting of blades and singing and dancing as we've been doing. I want a real one. Because I want to play for keeps this time. Well, enjoy your playing with the child. And cleaning your trains. What do you find fun here? Mortals are so strange. And if you get lost, don't worry. I'm quite a skilled hunter. I'll find you.
Good to know.
As he'll just sort of turn on heel. Until next time, well, I suppose I'll cut my teeth against Lady Hildora. She's quite strong. Let's see what she can offer me. As his body seems to explode into flame, leaving a small smoldering pile of fire in his path.
He is probably
we don't
going to
want
get
him-
that second fight sooner than he anticipated.
Well, I don't really want him being able to track us. So, Persephone is going to huddle her friends around and cast Pass Without Trace on all of us.
I know, isn't it the worst? Isn't it the worst? Every time you have something fun or nice or cool, he just wants to burn it. If we talk about the portal, he'd burn that too.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Not
If he
okay,
wants to
but-
come and join us, left out, that's fine, but he can't ruin the things we're having fun with as a result.
Did he
Exactly.
burn your home as well, or did your mother stop him from that?
No, he never burns. He never burns what his summer matron makes. Doesn't want to make her angry.
So then he's never burned you.
No, well, he tries sometimes, but he can't burn me. I'm too quick. But he does burn all the things I like. And when you burn all the things you like, it doesn't matter if he burns you. You have nothing left. He's so mean. He's just the meanest person in the world.
Yes, but Calliope, you are rather clever. I'm sure you outsmart him countless times.
I try to. He's older than me, though, so he's got some smarts to him, but sometimes he just wants to hurt you. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to go see a portal and have fun. I want fun now. We're not actually cleaning a train, right? I don't think that sounds very fun.
No.
That was the trick.
No.
Oh, disguising your intentions. I like it. All right.
Clever, Kuldor.
Huh.
So, show us the way to the portal.
All right, it's right this way. It's off the beaten path, so if you don't mind climbing over some high hills and some rolling roots, it might get a little dirty along the way, but I can always wash it off. I have water with me. It is always fine. Along the way we
How far
go.
away is it?
Oh, it is about a little over a day of travel. I travel pretty fast, but if you follow me, we'll go quite quickly.
Not that lovely.
Luna, do you mind if Swift Hollow joins us on the carpet? I need her to try it. Actually, no, you speak Elvish, don't you? Yeah, never mind. So,
Fuck that bitch!
pick up the...
I'm done with you.
Off the carpet. Look at it.
All right. As with that, Calliope would take you to the eastern edge of the gate, and eventually, with the use of Persephone's magic leaving no trail behind, you would guys make your way out towards the east. You travel for at least maybe about 3 or so hours. The sun's now reaching the far end, reaching into the edge of evening and night at this point. Is there anything else you want to do on your travels? Any talks you want to have?
I can write into my
Lord.
crazy spectral book, right, as a tome lock.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's a
just
book.
like it's a book, right? With like infinite pages or something. Does it have a page?
I mean, technically your book is your scepter, but
But I crack open my scepter to fold out a spectral book. I've described this a few times.
sure, yeah. Uh-huh.
Because I've used the scepter as the spine of the book. I have. Roll back the tape.
I know. Go hit your book.
Look, man, I'm trying to think of ways to use this tome. All right. So yeah, as we're traveling, if Luna can and is up for it, I'd ask her to translate the tome and notes that we absconded with from the office, and then I'd be taking down my own notes in common or what have you, arcana notes, all that kind of stuff, to try to better understand what exactly the miscommunication is between like one side's like, yeah, use every diamond under the rainbow and all the different gems and all this other stuff. And the other side's like, no, don't do that. And I'm trying to piece this arcana mystery together over the course of our travel. Glean some information there.
Sure.
Okay, one of us needs to drive before we crash into a tree.
Does someone need to actively drive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell them to go forward.
There's no consciousness.
Yeah,
It is not allowed.
maybe you should have smacked Swift Hollow off the rug.
I mean, I bought the damn thing, so I should know that. Swift Hollow, get back on the rug. I need you to drive.
You're hired.
Because I'm sure Swift Hollow doesn't, I don't know, I just want to listen to Luna talk, so I'll have Luna do it if she's up for it, and then have Swift Hollow drive if she's up for that.
Yeah. So I'll go drive our car. We're gonna make down the back
Swift Hollow
seat.
is also going to correct you every time you speak Elvish. No, that's not how it's
Nice.
pronounced. You're pronouncing it potato, it's pronounced potato, you fucking commoner.
It's tomato.
Thankfully,
I was
Samantha
sitting there just
values...
sighing over and over again, not saying anything.
Are you actively correcting me?
Well, I'm the one
Sure,
speaking.
you start butchering it.
Yeah, but like as you'd say things,
Probably
I'd
pipe
try to
in here or
reiterate
there.
it back to you as I try to get a better understanding. Because I have an automatic sort of understanding thanks to one of my boons, but not like a deep understanding. So I would certainly repeat them back to you. And as Swift Hollow corrects me on anything that I pronounce back that sounds wrong, I would make a note of that as well in my tome, because Samantha values being correct in the future more than the minor embarrassment of being wrong now.
Yeah, you'll sound more Elven. You'll sound weird to, humans that learned Elvish, but, it's like speaking British English versus American English. It's right and proper.
Okay. So that's what you're doing during your travel?
Yeah.
Yep. Swift Hollow will maneuver the craft.
Sure.
Having some fun with it. Yes. Wow, I've never flown a magic carpet.
Ooh,
I was
a
looking at
loop-de-loop.
Oh, that's how it works.
Go
Fantastic.
upside down. Oh no.
How unfortunate that you guys also are forced into Swift Hollow's Daredevil tricks as she experiments with it.
Okay.
There's only 2 seatbelts.
What about the rest of y'all? Is there anything you want to do specifically?
Up ahead with Calliope, as she's leading the way, I'm fucking trailblazing next to her. As I'm assuming we're moving at a relatively slow pace because some people are studying and they probably don't want to get car sick. So, just sort of showing off a bit with my my natural talent of making my way through the woods, of not being slowed down, even when we're doing stuff, and even able to guide the party at a pretty quick pace, even on the path that I don't know. Don't even get slowed down, even when we're doing other things.
Nice.
Sort of
Use your
going off to
ranger
California.
abilities.
talking to her,
Use that ribbon.
getting in her good graces.
Good stuff. She would definitely gratefully accept the help because as you learn quickly on what starts off as a pretty normal looking edge of the Elven Forest, something you're quite familiar with, has become strangely familiar to you, but not in shape, more so in nature, as plants are growing in these strange, twisted ways. Normally, forest paths have been cut off and overgrown to the point where they're no longer paths. You're having to take new, veering ways around, even ones that Calliope seems quite unaware of, as if the recent changes in these lands have caused such an effect that since she's last traveled through them, they now look a bit alien to her. But she still knows the general direction, with your help.
Whenever I sort of find a hidden little path, the way the trees will bend and meander in a strange way, I'll bring up some times when I was living in the Feywild myself, of how I grew up, and some tricks and things I've learned, and share some stories back and forth about the Feywild. One, to, once again, just sort of ingratiate myself with her, but two, also see if I can pick up on sort of poke and prod her for information about where we're going, what kind of part of the Feywild, see if I can figure out where exactly we're going, if I remember anything for what she's telling me, see if there's anything that I might need to be aware of.
Sure. Let's see. Cool. Yep. As it seems like, for one, she's very appreciative of the help of you tracking and sort of showing off what your little tips and tricks. She's actually quite interested in your tips and tricks to the point where she kind of wishes she had more time to learn, because she likes to do a lot of traveling and she would like to learn ways to navigate, because sometimes she gets lost if she's never been somewhere before. But you seem to know exactly where you're going. I'd love to learn something like that if you ever had the time. Perhaps after the wedding?
Wandering is something I most enjoy. I've done quite a bit, and I would love to teach. There are countless secrets to how the world moves, as it were, in this world and art. I would love to teach you anytime.
I would love to learn. I don't have much to teach myself. I can show you how to maybe change your face. I can show you maybe how to breathe in the water. I can show you how to take things without having to touch them. I'm not really sure how to do that, but I've learned how to do it.
I've actually got a few tricks myself to do such things. Things that I
Really?
along the way as I sort of look over at some branches and just sort of wave my hand as the crest on the back of the hand glows ever so slightly as the limb just sort of slowly drifts up off the ground as it just tosses up into the air. A few tips and tricks. And oh no, I have learned how to disguise myself here and there. A bit of mouse, a bit of fast can go a long way in fooling the eye, but not the same way that you do. I see that you change your form completely, and it's impressive.
Oh, really? You think so? That's very nice of you. I do it sometimes because I don't like to be seen as miserable. People think things. When people think things of you, you don't know what they're thinking, and they could be bad. So I become someone else, and then they think things about that person, not me.
I understand completely. And the ability to be not yourself, most useful.
You're quite fun to work on. I think I like you. I think we're going to have a good time on this party.
I certainly hope so.
And as far as just information on where you're going, she's mostly pretty particular. She says things like, well, they got the gloaming court. It's not a very nice place to see. Lots of things that are very upset, very cranky, like to fight, like to bite. Not a very pretty place to look at, but it's a place you just sort of hide and walk through without being seen and nothing bothers you. Lots of things are always fighting each other there. If you can get them fighting each other, they may not fight you. But if you get on their bad side, or they might try to chase you down. You have magic to escape such things, it'll be very helpful. I certainly do. I hope the rest of you do if we ever run across something like that.
I believe we have a few tips and tricks. I know I do. If things get a little bit too hairy.
Alright. Along the way, Persephone, Quildor, you guys want to do anything in your travels?
Yeah, like Persephone just kind of hangs back, matching her pace with Quildor's and thinking about a conversation that we all had earlier today. So, Saren's going to knight you. That's kind of exciting.
A title is only as good as the person who bestows it.
Huh. You know, Quildor, I don't think I ever asked, why is it that you wanted to be a knight of Tyrion in the first place? How did you come to gain that title?
Well, as I grew up, I knew that I was gifted quite physically. And I found a friend out there, extremely wise, extremely talented in the god. He mentored me. He helped me to be better than my ancestors, have more pull and sway within the city guard. I felt it my duty to protect the people of that land, as my father did, as my grandfather did. There's loyalty in the people of Zamaria. Part of the reason why there was rebellion is we didn't like taking orders from people we didn't seem as worthy. Unfortunately, in any land, there are nobles even within your own kingdom that aren't truly noble. My hope was to take the wisdom that my friend gave me and instill it on that young whelp. but he was too far gone even before I met him. Wisdom would never take hold in that man's heart, no matter who tried to teach him. Just as wisdom will never take hold in Laceran's heart because, well, he's fucking crazy.
And how big of a role did that play for you in the war? You've mentioned that you fought for over a century.
In all honesty, early in the war is when this incident happened. I was actually banished quite early on, and I've had to spend the last 150 years outside of my kingdom.
Do you talk to your family at all? Were you completely disconnected?
I write them letters, but I have not seen them.
I'm sorry, that must have been really hard. To work for as long as you did, and for it to have ended up like this.
I'll let you in on a secret, Persephone. I'm not very good with understanding others' emotions. You say that it must be hard to not see my family. I mean, they are nice people. I love them, but this idea of loss or missing is just something that, well, never really took root in me. I know that they are safe within the city. I wish them well. I'm sure at some point in my long-lived life I will see them again. But to miss somebody,
You don't ever, like, on any of our adventures, dream about the next time that you would see them, or wish that they could see it too, or that...
I don't dream, Persephone.
Well, I mean, like, in the figurative sense, in your case. Like, imagine.
I don't think I have much of an imagination, in all honesty. I'm sure I will see them again. I do wish I could see my grandfather before his time of awakening.
That makes sense.
I'm not good at the emotional stuff, Persephone. But you did ask, how are you feeling about all of this? I mean, we are about to go into the Feywild, a place that you have been intimately connected with for some time, to possibly, well, mess up your family's legacy or save it.
I was great until the reminder that I might screw up my family's legacy. But honestly, the situation with Uncle Galleon is very, very concerning. I'm excited to see the Feywild. I've read it, all the stories that I've read since I was young, and everything that Edisov told me through my teachings, and just the fact that I've been able to conjure creatures from the Feywild itself to help me, that's really exciting. But in this place that we're going with Caleb, I also can't help but be a little nervous. I mean, when the creatures I conjure, when they die, they don't really die. Edisov explained it to me as their spirits return to the Feywilds, and then they reform into something else. But they may or may not remember what they once were, and it varies. So that's why I'm very hesitant on using that magic in combat. It's bad enough I'm kind of forcing them into a situation that they never asked for. It's even worse if I don't take care of them while they're here. And I guess I'm just kind of worried I'm going to run into anything that I was careless with, especially in my earlier days of adventuring.
That's a lot. But I'm sure it will be fine. You don't seem to be a person that is careless with your Fey friends.
I'm glad somebody thinks that. A lot of the times I feel like I should be doing more. But, hey, I appreciate you asking. And I know feelings aren't really easy, especially growing up in elven culture. I know it's especially difficult. So, you know, if there is something that you have on your mind, you don't have to unpack it on your own. We can talk it out.
Maybe. We'll see. One of the things I have found to be very common with, well, I believe people like you and me, Persephone, is the curse that we carry of always thinking we can do more. It is something that always sticks with us, and it's, well, it's not the most fun thing to have to sit with all the time.
No. But something I had come to realize a while ago. At the end of the day, all that matters is if you're able to stand behind your decision. You do the best with what you have, with what you know, and you stick to it. And as long as you feel confident that you've done your best, then that is enough, even if it doesn't feel like it is.
Well, I can tell you that you have done plenty in your short-lived life.
And I think you still have much more that you can do with your long-lived one.
I couldn't agree more. Tamarcon, why are you climbing that plant?
Look at the advantage! Why? Let me say something.
As Tamarcon, give me a survival check. Nice. As, sort of getting your high vantage point, your cooler calling down, just trying to get a better look at this area. It seems Calliope is sort of taking a quick break to sort of find herself some actual breathing room between these closely pressed trees. You'd actually see a soft shimmer of light moving down the forest path. A little bit to the north of you guys, you'd see what looks to be a running stream. You see anything up there, Tamarcon?
I see a stream ahead. It seems to wander further ahead. I think. Is this what we're looking for?
It should be. It feels a little bit. We might be a little early or a little north. The stream is a little bit further ahead. Did we get lost? Let's go check it out real quick. As Kelpie pulls off her little calm stance, immediately takes up to a quick little pace, making her way towards what seems to be now slowly but surely encroaching to be a clearing within some of this overgrowth of a forest. until you finally do see quite a prominent, beautiful, clear stream. Except maybe at some points it seems marred. Ever so often, you almost see things swimming down the length of this stream, but not really swimming, more like dispersing, clouding. It looks like silver pouring off into the water and dispersing into soft puddles that seem to fade away with the rest of the liquid. Calliope doesn't really seem to notice it, but Tamar Khan, you've actually seen this before, very, very briefly. This is something that should not be spilled in water. This is something sacred that you've perhaps toyed with in your earlier life. Something that has since spilled from something quite important to these woods. It is the blood of one of its guardians. And as the stream comes into view, you can see Caleb sort of stop in her track at its edge once you brush past the trees, and she sort of stops. There's a horse sleeping next to the river. As the rest of you come upon a sight, reaching into the edge of this forest, you find resting, at least it looks like it's resting, realizing this horse is nestled up against the edge of this river, body covered in sloshes of mud and long silver marks carved along its flesh. It looks like something had painted it until you realize the silver that pours from its body is its blood. As this thing looks like it has been attacked by a beast on death's door as its blood spills down the length of this stream.
Oh, host. And do not look like they are in a good way.
Martha quickly tucks away her magic notes, pulling out her scepter, setting it to battle instead of study.
Someone leave their horse here? Oh, the poor thing.
How deep does the stream look?
It looks not particularly deep, only maybe about like 10 feet at its center. It's enough to maybe you can wade through it with a quick step. Maybe 10 feet, like 8 feet. Again, it's enough to where like you could step inside and sort of wade through it with your hands above the water, keeping your head a little bit if you kick. But otherwise, it's not particularly powerful. It just seems to be flowing water.
Does that horse have a horn?
Mars sort of jogs up to the side of the river and a small little twist of a ring on his hand as he bounds over the length of the water. Not the horse at all, as he lands on the far side. How are you, my friend? You're this big.
As this thing seems to be laying on the ground.
As I speak to it.
As this thing seems to be laying on the ground, unmoving. Give me a medicine check.
Persephone, I think it needs your aid.
How deep does the river look?
Again, only like 8 feet. Getting to the center, your height would probably give you some trouble, but you'd be able to cross through it. It'd just be a little difficult terrain going through it. As Tamar Khan leaning down, putting her hand on this thing, you do feel its body is chilled, but still has warmth in it, and its body sort of twitches against your apparently warm touch. It's basically, you would assume from how much blood it's lost in its wounds, this thing is possibly dead. But instead, from that gentle touch, you feel a stir of life in it, if just barely.
Is it a lady unicorn or a dude unicorn?
Seems to be a dude unicorn with that high medicine check.
Stephanie, you need your help. Rather quickly.
Okay.
Does not have long.
I say the command word for my wings and just fly over the river and land on the other side of this creature.
Oh gods, what's happened to you? And I'm gonna give it 3 fairies to start to help soak
Nice.
some wounds.
Samantha, keep your eyes open.
Oh,
Something
thank
attacked
you.
that beast.
All right. As this thing, you can see the fairies fly into this thing, pulse into its wound, and become part of its flesh. It seems like an impulsive energy, as you can see some of these claw marks. Now, obviously, claw marks begin to pull themselves back together and stitch, and some of the bubbling silver that falls out of them now start to rise up and seal itself. As this creature seems to suddenly stir a moment on the ground, these hooves sort of splashing against the water's edge. Swiftala, Luna, Kulor, and Samantha, all 4 of you down here, give me some perception checks.
It's okay. It's okay.
As Persephone, very similarly to when we had occurred with the centaur, she's just going to gently stroke along the neck of this beast.
Just trying to let him know it's okay that we're friends.
As this thing shakes its head for a moment, you can see this sharpened horn going off your direction in Tamar Khan's for a moment before it hears your voice. It sort of stops and puffs out a combination of mud, water, and dirt as its face is almost buried in the edge of the stream. As it turns its head up towards you, Persephone, and you can see this thing breathing heavily, its body somewhat gaunt, but you hear a voice, not from its mouth, not echoing from around you, but instead in the depths of your mind. This place, the magic that plagues this land, it has taken away the order. The beasts that walk here, they will hunt any and all. You are not safe. As, let's see, Swift Hollow and Luna, you find yourselves looking off, listening for the sounds of danger in between the now darkening trees around you. You don't truly see anything, but you can hear the soft crunching, crackling of foliage being bent and moved around you. And you, Luna, with your incredibly sharpened gaze, peer out into some of the shadowed edges and can see just a glint. It looks like a pair of eyes, golden in color, staring out, not from necessarily the shadows themselves, but from the thin air itself, as if simply a pair of eyes were watching from nothingness. And both along the neck of Swift Hollow, hairs beginning to rise up, and even behind your ear, Tamar Khan, a strange, rattling little ring begins to buzz, as both of you, both of either magical or natural skill, the air vibrates, and danger is alerted, as suddenly things begin to move from within the veil. As I'm gonna need everyone to give me some initiative rolls.
I don't even know if I remember how to do that.
Just funny. Something lacks here.
So,
Calliope, hide.
so that's 10.
I got advantage.
You certainly do.
I clicked advantage on this thing. Initiative
Just do the
style.
It's on the
Toggle.
setting, the initiative style.
Yeah.
Advantage. I set it to advantage.
You had rolled it with advantage. Look at
Whatever.
the math.
Yep. It's got 2 in there.
Oh, it did already?
You just
Oh,
rolled
okay.
you just rolled a
rolls two
5
of
and a
them, keep
9.
highest one.
Gotcha. Oh, I didn't have my fucking stuff selected anyways.
Womp womp
Sweetie,
womp.
Yeah, me neither. Oops.
I got a 15.
I don't roll so high in initiative for a long time. Hang on.
You're just used to being Katie.
No, Katie always gets like less than 10.
All right, let's see. I think that's everybody. Yes. Let's sort.
I mean, I don't know. Calliope didn't roll. Just saying.
That's true. Thank you. Caleb
But-
P is in the middle of this, although
Waiting for her to
thankfully-
drop, like level 9 spells.
seems like she's sort of caught aware of the danger as well the moment Tamar Khan says something. As boop. Ooh, look at you, girl. Damn, mama. As indeed, the moment your words, Persephone, her ears start to see her little fins start to flutter. Oh dear. And immediately her form seems to become almost liquid and stay translucent before suddenly falling away as her body just seems to disappear. Let's see. Ooh. As you can hear now, Luna, your ears quite discerning of your surroundings, sharpened. You can hear the crackling of claws against the foliage, something lurking its way towards you, but the exact direction, hard to tell. Focusing gets closer and closer until suddenly the air seems to shimmer and break as this massive form comes tearing out of the void. You see a creature that those of the Elven Nation would know quite well, those that lurk within the depths of Elven forests known as Night Sabers. Typically creatures that only prowl the forests in the dead of night, and yet here strangely enough and completely uncharacteristic of them, they seem to just pull themselves out of nowhere, appearing from the void itself as if unseen, as it's going to throw itself in the middle of this appearance at you, Luna, as it's going to try and claw you with advantage.
I think you're just gonna not do that, as he hears within his head that he instead, actually, I don't know if he needs to understand this, but he's going to hear that he should just dance. as I force him to take the dodge action.
Ooh, let's see. Wisdom save.
See creature within 60 feet of you, taking an action.
Nice. Technically, it would be coming out of invisibility, taking an action. So I don't know if you'd see it in time. Well,
It has to take an action to be visible.
Yeah. It's like it's invisible, and then it takes an action, and as it's taking the action, it's attacking. It becomes invisible when it's attacking.
All right.
Sorry. You'd see this thing. You know it's coming, but you wouldn't see it until the moment it's already leaping through the air at you. It's gonna try and call you with advantage. Cha! Oh, that's GM layer. Cha! Ooh, 20.
So, okay.
As his claw reaches up and catches into your body, you feel it sink into your side and try to pull you to the ground as its weight tries to press down, as I'm going to need a strength saving throw. Ooh, as this thing tears down with its claws against your body, you feel yourself immediately get pulled and tugged hard to the ground until you are, in fact, knocked prone, as this thing manages to pounce you. But as you're pounced on the ground and immediately lurches forward, its mouth opens up, and these massive, long, dagger-sized fangs try to bear down on top of you. Chomp. Ooh, 18?
That was promising. What lighting are we in?
It's getting dim. I'd say we're in dim right now. It's like shadows switching in.
Not hit.
Ooh, fortunate, as these teeth come sinking down, but fortunately your magically charged defense is able to ward off its teeth, although it still keeps you on the ground, not pinned or grappled, but seemingly knocked on your back, lurching over you. As Luna, it'll come to you.
This creature on top of her, Luna, is going to just kind of reach out with her mind and try to throw him far away, as I'm going to cast telekinesis and try to throw him away from me.
All right. As he's got to make a strength check, I believe.
God,
Flat strength check.
It's a wall. I forgot to separate it all.
Don't worry, I know the spell. It's one of my favorites. As you challenge, you just get to do. It's a contest, isn't it? Your casting mod versus him, or it's just a DC.
Yeah, it's a ability check contest. Yeah.
So charisma versus strength. He tries to physically fight it as this magic starts to take over, try to lift him off his feet. Ooh.
It's not too shabby.
Ooh, but your magic is too strong as you see this thing lifted off the ground, sort of claws waving around in the air. Seems like it has no traction anymore as it is restrained and held by your magic.
I'm going to just throw him over to Cloder. Here you go, Cloder. Have fun.
Just down here?
Probably further away from me. Just like right
down here?
Right
in front of him? Okay, just veering him through the air until he lands, or so I guess suspended in the air, restrained next to you, Kuldor.
I will get up from prone and get back on my carpet. How dare he? That's my turn.
Alrighty. As Persephone, you can see one of these creatures rip itself out of reach. Again, strange for these creatures. Night Sabers, you've heard of them. They're one of the dangerous creatures that are normally kept in check by some sort of natural order in the forest. You never heard them turning invisible or coming out of invisibility. That's something new. What do you do?
I concentrate my magic grasping onto my small crystal and cast Guardian of Nature, my hair poofing into a bushel of leaves and my skin becoming more bark-like as I take the form of a great tree.
Nice.
Maybe that will keep things from getting a little too close for us. And I look over at this other creature. Is it prone or restrained?
It's restrained in the air. It looks like it's trying to catch traction on the ground, but the magic is literally keeping it floating just above the ground so it can't move.
Okay, and with my action, I am going to just hold out my hand and cast Produce Flame as a
petal flies off from my plantar arm and turns into a little fiery attack at this creature.
Ooh,
You have advantage.
as it
check
certainly
first, right?
does.
Yeah, you do have advantage.
Get that advantage attack.
Hey, get that advantage.
As the petal comes flying towards him, strikes into his body, and ripples across his form as it burns away at a ton of its hanging, now dredged-looking mane. As you will do a tickety ton of damage, baby. As this creature immediately flames cascade across his body, immediately flashes with light next to you, Koldor, as this thing now seems to be set ablaze for a moment, still restrained, trying to claw its way through the air to get away from the fire, but unable to move.
Stay sharp. These things aren't supposed to be invisible, but that's different now. There might be more lurking in the bushes. That's gonna be my turn.
Alrighty. Let's see. Mamma mia. Yep, and as she says that, Samantha, watching Luna get tackled to the side and immediately throwing her magic to get rid of this thing, from behind, you can hear that same crackling as another beast comes ripping its way out of the void. They're all like, oh no!
Almost already dead. How dare.
They all died.
I see the blood dripping.
It
from him
happens
onto the grass.
all the time, Omen.
As he comes reaching out,
All the
trying to
time.
claw you. Hacha! Ooh, but missing as it claps into the ground with its claws. And as it lands in front of you, you can see these glowing eyes staring up at you. And then immediately, its body begins to fade until the eyes are the only thing that remain before they simply close. As this thing seems to fade away.
Are there
Oh,
any signs of movement?
You can still hear it. It seems to take a few steps away from you. That's about as far as it can go. You just can't see it. Let's see. As coming up from your flank, Tamarcon, as you're watching the ground around you become overgrown from Persephone's magic, you can hear that same crackling sound, this thing making its presence known, leaping through the air and trying to claw at you. Fix his health too. That fix all your babies. He's such little babies.
did I have enough time to draw my weapon?
I would say because you weren't surprised. Yeah, you'd have a weapon in hand. As
Nice.
claws coming at you. Hacha! 24.
Ooh, and with advantage, that will cut through my defense.
As this claw comes ripping across your body, catching into your fur before trying to pull you hard to the ground, as I need a strength saving throw.
Ooh,
Ooh!
hey,
But you're able to keep
thankfully
yourself
ready for it.
nice. As you're able to keep yourself up against his claws, but immediately it pulls away. It sees it sort of recoils from your surprising amount of strength before the same thing. Its form just seems to fade away, leaving only twinkling remains of its eyes, as it too seems to take a couple steps away, although you cannot see it. As Samantha, it comes to you.
Yeah, seeing this thing sort of spring out of nothingness and then disappear back into invisibility, Samantha sort of immediately classifies these things as not being normal animals in any way. Definitely not like a normal tiger or something. And is going to follow suit with Luna staying next to her and getting onto the staying on the flying carpet. Seeing the one tiger thing suspended, she's just gonna keep an eye out across the battlefield and ready a cast of Eldritch Blast for the next bad guy she sees. Anything comes out of invisibility, the moment it does, she's gonna try to fill it full of holes.
Sure. All right. As Tamarcon, just recovering from a wound and watching your enemy disperse into nothingness, it seems. I guess your quarry still wounded on the ground, and all around you, enemies are unseen. What do you do?
As this thing starts to stalk away from me, slowly disappearing into the foliage, but I think to my senses able to hear it a bit as I move to sharpen my senses even further. As my body begins to change, the hair on my arms and legs and face and neck starts to grow longer, my arms and legs start to stretch, and my senses sharpen, knowing that creatures around me will not be able to strike me. the same way twice, as get that advantage on some perception checks as I try to track where this thing is walking away from. Popping my passive perception to 22.
Oh yeah, you'd be able to see this thing is just like probably within reach of your pole if it extended. Again, you can still tell where it is, you just can't see it. It ain't hiding.
Yeah, and making sure keeping track of this thing as I just take a side step, putting myself a little bit more in between our fallen friend here and the enemy as I just sort of spin the staff above my head, out of range. To strange occurrence, but it seems like almost out of nowhere it strikes out, trying to strike across the face of this invisible creature as I extend it to its 10-foot length. As I'm striking out with my steel bar.
Nice. $13. You swing your bar through the air, discerning where this creature is in its place, and swing down suddenly as you feel it connect against this invisible force. As that will connect.
Ooh. Striking heartily on the side of it.
Let's see.
Crunching in.
Ooh. As you feel this force, you can see the air sort of shimmer where you struck, but still unable to see this thing.
As I will bring the bar round again, still at its length, and just bring it down on top of this thing. Trying to basically just catch it in the spine, seeing if I can knock this thing unconscious. As I'm trying to knock it non-lethally, although not much hope I can strike this thing down in 2 hits.
That'll definitely connect. Ooh, a healthy hit as well. This one a more definite, deafening hit as the steel bar resounds against this invisible creature. Ooh.
As in my attempt to knock it down, knock it out, I will send a bit of ki rippling down the end of the bar into its spine, trying to just paralyze it for half a second, seeing if I can bring it out of the shadows. I'm gonna stun strike it.
All right. Ooh, and with that trickle of magic, you see this thing's body immediately shimmer, almost like your ki had shattered whatever strange magic is keeping him invisible, as he finds himself in this sort of dazed stupor, very much visible. As with advantage.
Yeah, stuff.
As my snakes are just watching everywhere, and then the second this thing comes into being, 3 of them lock on, and just 3 beams come out, shooting with a heck of a lot of magic behind them.
Give me them shots.
Heckin' lot of magic.
Heckin'. A lot of magic.
Ooh.
Yep.
How do you want to destroy this thing?
Oh, that sucks. You had 2 of them that were 19.
Yeah, so I'm just sort of surveying the battlefield, trying to stay on top of the carpet, watching the one to my right, and then seeing Tamar Khan just thwap out and this thing sort of stumble into visibility. These beams just crackle up the length of the serpents out of their mouths, and they just seem to be just sort of, they're not like these tight, sort of concentrated arrows. They just seem to sort of crackle and lose energy all over the place as they are just raw power without a lot of control. But each one just blows a chunk of this thing off, separating a leg, separating a giant hole through the chest, and the last shot critting, just taking its head clean off.
Just shattering this creature's, and it seems to be a chunks of magical touched mess as this thing falls dead to the ground, no longer fading away.
Yeah, that's one gone. And as my turn comes to an end, I'm just sort of flicking my ears and eyes back and forth. Now with my heightened senses, see if I can hear the crack of limbs, the moving of leaves. See if I can get a count of maybe if there's any more around that I might perceive, just with my little passive.
Sure, with your passive at that distance, I'd say counting the one you just killed, because you have some pretty decent passive right now. You'd think within your vicinity, pretty good. You'd say there is at least 5 of them.
At yourselves, there's another handful waiting, lurking in the shadows. As that's me.
Would I be able to tell that it was like stunned thanks to Tamar Khan? Did it have that sort of signature look?
It definitely seemed like this thing didn't come out in this normal controlled manner. It just seemed to be loopy on its feet, unable to keep itself truly steady.
Yeah, so right as the beams are crackling across, you'd hear Samantha call out, "Well struck, Tamar Khan." Trying to give kudos where kudos are due.
Well finished, Samantha!
As Persephone, as Tamar Khan knocks this creature aside, you feel your magic culminate out into the surrounding area, and then you hear this soft crackling as suddenly the foliage at the edge of your magic suddenly bends and folds and wraps up around some invisible thing before it tears and pulls away, as it seems like something was trying to approach you, but gets stuck where it is, unseen.
Hey.
Can
You got treed.
Yeah, can I tell which part of my roots are reacting?
It looks like something is fighting against this strange, difficult-to-cross terrain you've created. And since it doesn't seem to be truly hiding, and your perception's already pretty considerably high, it doesn't seem like it's able to reach you, but you can tell where it is. You just can't truly see it. Oh boy, let's see. All right.
Persephone,
coming
I
in.
think you're snagged one.
Your ears would perk up, Tamar Khan, as well as yours, Quildor, as from the southwestern end of this grotto, you'd see the air tear away as one of these creatures comes bounding in, almost at flanking side of its now suspended ally, trying to reach up and dig its claws into you to bring you down. As claws are coming at you. Yeah. Ooh, 21. I'm assuming that will not do it. How do you defend against it?
Just raise up my shield as the claws just scrape across it.
As the claws rip across your seemingly indestructible armor, it lands hard on the ground, and again it blinks its eyes, and its body just seems to fade away as it will fade from sight, hearing the crunching of foliage as it starts to move its way just maybe about 10 feet west of you. As Swift Hollow. Wow, holy shit, Swift Hollow.
And I rolled too.
How about that? As you find you are surrounded by unseen enemies, but the closer they are, you can still sort of discern the exact positioning of where they might be, as you are quite an alert girl, able to keep those unseen around you from gaining any true benefit from striking you in such a way. As what do you do?
Fortunately, I still need to see them.
Mm-hmm.
To get a true bead. Swift Hollow will quickly move her way here and using her cunning action. It seems like when Swift Hollow dashes across this river, her feet sink into the water, but she doesn't truly slow down. Not accosted by this as she quickly makes her way over to Persephone. Because it's way safer there. I'm about to lose my body blockers.
Are you dashing through it?
Yep, she is using her cunning action to dash.
Good shit. Able to
Quickly
avoid the difficult terrain.
Difficult terrain. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, difficult. Yep. All the Panthers have to come from the Persephone side because they're not making that dead man zone right there. Yeah. I'll stand guard, take aim, and yeah, I suppose shoot at the visible one.
With some advantage, as he's currently held aloft by Luna's magic.
Oh yeah, because I don't have assassinate. Eat. Oh, that's fine. I forgot.
Didn't need it anyways.
I was moving. No. It's not crit. It's not crit.
Not a
you
crit?
cheating again.
Oh,
No.
you're cheating.
No, I was
you
messing around.
almost
I was
got one,
testing
though.
damage numbers.
Well, how do you want to kill
No,
this
yeah,
thing
it's gonna go
anyway?
with
Because
20
45
anyway.
will be enough. How do you kill this thing?
Swift Hollow making her way. It's so it'd be like I was playing around with damage numbers earlier, so it'd be 4, 8, and plus the 12 less damage, so 24 plus 9.
Still enough.
I was totally all right.
Took a bunch of
Close
hits, my
enough.
friend.
As Swift Hollow makes her way across, sort of making her way next to Persephone, and then seeing this easy target, just lines up her shot and sends one crossbow bolt directly in between its eyes, through its head, a quick and merciful death.
Oh. As it just hangs limp in the air with your magic, Luna.
Luna. Nice. Oh yeah, telekinesis. As yeah, Swithalla quickly loads another crossbow bolt, but is out of actions. That's my turn.
All right. As from the southwestern end of this grotto, you can hear the crunching of foliage as something throws itself through the air, able to just barely reach up to the now moved Swift Hollow as this creature pulls itself out of the void to reach you. But again, your senses quite sharp as this claw attack will come at you at normal, as you are always prepared. Yeah! Ooh, a 20.
Go ahead.
As the claw
Yeah,
catches
Swift
into
Hollow.
your side. Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
I don't want to use it now. I kind of want to.
Am I dodging
Because
this
I don't
or
want to get
not?
pinned down. Do I want to get pinned down again?
Do I wanna
Visions of
dodge
the
the
lion.
claw?
Visions of the lion on the arena as Swift Hollow quickly pulling back, but not quite fast enough, unfortunately. Able to basically miss around half of that damage. And she will use her reaction to Uncanny Dodge.
All right.
Quickly
Able to pull
pulling
away for
back.
a second. Lightning the blow, but you do feel it catch on your edge, as I will need a strength saving throw. As this thing's trying to pull you down with its weight.
Strength save.
Strength saving throw!
Okay, it's ability checks. Just checking something.
Okay.
Yeah. Eat.
Ooh, as the claw catches your side, you find a moment of strength beneath your feet, able to withstand most of it, but the rest of this weight comes crashing down and brings you hard to the ground as you are knocked prone. And as you fall down, its head leans in for a bite while you are prone on the ground, trying to clasp at your throat. Ka-chomp! Ooh, 18, just barely missing, I
Doesn't
think.
make it. Yep.
Hey.
As it
Swithalla able
chomps.
to nimbly dodge out of the way, redirecting its teeth to her magically padded armor.
Catching just on the edge, but not able enough to get through to truly bite you as it pulls its jaws away. As it seems to be sort of stuck now, trying to pull away, but feels its feet sort of stuck into the ground. As Quildor, next to you is a floating dead creature. One creature tried to accost you with its claws, didn't make it through your armor, but now hides. Seems there's a couple around you. What do you do?
I look at the ground. I'm assuming that with us being in a forest next to a stream, the ground is rather moist and damp, and I'm looking for impressions in the ground.
Oh, there are
large
definitely
paws.
impressions. You can see them heading off in this direction. Looks like they're stopping right here.
So I will move here. So I'll swing out in this direction with my sword. So
All right.
disadvantage, right?
It'll be disadvantage if you can't see it.
Okay.
Ooh, as that'll still connect, catching up against the side of this thing. You see fire sparking along this invisible thing as it needs try and maintain. Ooh, you see him for a moment, this form shimmers, but then it reforms itself as this thing still remains unseen, but it takes quite a bit of damage.
So
Mamma
swing
mia.
ahead.
Oh, as that'll connect too. Damn, consistent, my friend. As again, cutting us the other side, this thing cuts deep into this invisible creature. Do-do-do-do. Ooh, but it still maintains its invisible form, but we see blood now visibly trickling down from this empty space in the air before you, as well as a small stack of smoke.
Swing again.
As how do you want to kill this thing?
As I just see the blood trickling down, I see how it's flowing, and I understand. I've been around long enough, and I've killed enough shit. Just the anatomy of a creature. As I'll swing up, knowing where the jugular is, and slashing out. As let's see, I move 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. As I will use my bonus action to. Yes, I know. Come on over here. There you go. Misty Step. Right here. As I will action surge and swing 3 times at this creature.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. 15. Ooh, mama. That's 19. 19 and 24. Oh, God, brain.
All the damage.
38. 38, 50. How do you want to kill this thing? In a series of quick, almost untraceable strikes.
As I just seem to kind of materialize, it seems almost as if the sword materializes first, as it just swings out, one cutting down at its leg, the other one cutting at the other front of the leg, as it kind of dips down, as the sword just comes right at the top of the spine and the neck, just straight through. As I just look over at Swift Hollow. You'll be alright.
Who looks pretty okay.
I'm okay with this. Awesome. Good shit.
I took 5 health. Like, my armor scratched. Darn.
She's just laying in the ground.
Yeah.
Bleeding out.
She has a very dangerous look in her eyes. As if,
Awesome.
she's ready to kill something because she already killed something. So that means her next attack this turn has advantage. Wink,
Ready to
wink.
go. Anything else you want to do, Pulor? You got a little bit of movement left?
Murder in her eyes.
No, I don't. I used all my movement. I used my bonus action. I used my action surge. I used my action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good shit.
I killed 2
fighter
things.
tabs too to keep track of all of your actions.
Nope. I just know.
All right, let's see. Meeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay. You just sort of see the water sort of splish a little bit next to Luna and Samantha, as it seems like something that was once standing on the rock now enters the water. As you probably assume it's probably Calliope taking a safe place within the actual sanctuary of something that seems natural to her. As this bad boy.
I just fucking
Exactly.
imagine like she's like, oh well, and then she just like sinks down to the bottom of the stream, just there, like someone in the bottom of a pool, just kind of looking around.
You know,
As
when you
this
take
creature-
Sonic and you watch.
Yeah, just sitting there standing in the water, watching us watch, waiting for the fight to end. As this creature suspended dead in the air, Luna, your magic still maintained, holding this creature up. What do you do?
We're gonna drop the creature, and then there was one more tiger saber thing that attacked Samantha. Can I kind of estimate where it is right now?
You can tell it's basically right up here, essentially. You can see the impressions in the grass. It's not necessarily trying to hide, it's just keeping itself out of your sight.
Assuming that I can get us out of safety, I'm gonna raise the carpet up like 20 feet, and then from where I assume this creature is, these black tendrils are going to start seeping out from the ground and start grabbing at whatever entity is in there, as I'm going to cast Black Tentacles.
Ooh!
In that general area.
That's a 30-foot square, right?
Do it. It's either 30 or 20.
Is it a 20?
Yeah, I think it's 20.
20.
30's pretty
Awesome.
big. Yep.
And it is a 4th level spell. Okay, as this ground beneath this area, let's say like right here, begins to suddenly surge and writhe up as these tendrils made of strange shadowy energy begin to rise up and even bat against something that you can't quite see. It wraps around this silhouetted form, but nothing that you can truly discern or target.
There you go, Samantha. Target that area.
Let's see.
Wrapped up in vines, now wrapped up in tentacles. I'm assuming that was the one that got stuck in Persephone's stuff also.
Yeah, Persephone has an aura.
Oh,
Her
gotcha.
stuff is. We're all over there. As that's returning.
All right.
Oh, I thought it was a huge aura. That's right.
As Persephone, you can see, looks like one of the creatures that came out after Swifthollow at your side gets immediately struck down by Quildor. And again, there seems to be one left within your vicinity. This one that seems to be pulling itself towards you from the edge of your difficult to cross terrain. That's what you do.
Can I try to like concentrate and figure out which direction?
Oh, it's obvious. This thing's coming from the eastern side. It's like actually right over here. It's not trying to hide. It's just invisible.
Oh, that's perfect. Then I am going to. Yeah, I'm going to produce flame attack it.
All right, disadvantage.
Put her
I have
down.
advantage on wisdom attacks.
That's
so it's
true
normal.
with your guardian form granting you greater aim and power, as that will definitely connect as this blast of flame comes crackling, stopping short of its normal travel to hit this thing head on as it ripples flame across its unseen form. Nice. As let's see. Ooh, things are rolling good. As you can see, the magic shimmer for a moment, but then maintains itself as the flames are subsided, still unseen.
Okay, and that's going to be it in terms of attacks. But like flavor-wise, Purse is just going to hold her shield and just. Oh no, I can move. I can move. That's fine. We're going to move just a smidge closer so I can put some
a little gap between this creature that I hit and Swift Hollow.
All right. Trying to interpose yourself, it seems like.
Yeah, and that's gonna be my
Nice.
turn.
All right. As you step forward, you can see this aura around you, the magic surrounding you, being to infuse life into the surrounding plant life, and even starting to further surround this creature. As within this mass of writhing tentacles, a creature unseen must try to make some sort of save against the writhing, lest it be caught. Oh, lest it was caught. I got. Here we go.
It was caught.
As it was 10 damage. You think you rolled?
Yep.
Oh, let's see. Do. Ooh, damn, boy. As you can see, the tentacles rise up and wrap around this thing again, flicker of magic, but it seems as if they've held something still. You just can't really see it. You can just sort of discern the space it's in. But it does seem that it's no longer moving around on the foliage. It's sort of held still. As, let's see, you're dead. Samantha, you can see these black tentacles reaching up from the ground beneath you, encapsulating this shape. Unseen, has still a chance to move or wiggle away, but seems to be less so. As what do you do? I should be shooting normal if you shoot it. All right, give me them shots. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, all three of those will connect. Boo, boo. Nice. As all three shatter into this thing's body, you can see spurts of blood shooting off and landing in the writhing tentacles before it seems to be the magic consumes them and turns them just as dark. As this thing continues to writhe and growl out in pain. But it seems as if its form is still somehow standing amidst it. All right, give me them shots. It was, how do you want to kill this thing? Oh.
Jordan, your voice isn't coming through on stream.
Uh-oh.
No!
As you see blood spatter even more, magic being poured through just completely, just like the last one, if not more so, eviscerating this creature until you can see the writhing masses wrap around these invisible chunks that soon become visible to you, and then they get consumed into the darkness.
I think we're almost done here. Let's wrap it up. As that is it for me.
All right, Tamarkon, it seems like your creature that you had quarried has essentially been demolished by Samantha's magic. Another one to your west has been also demolished by her magic. The rest of them seem to be getting cut down quite quickly by your allies, but one seems to remain.
There's one left to go as I shorten up my staff, as I rush towards this creature in front of Persephone in its invisible form, as I just sort of bring my body down into just a pounding position as I just body slam into the side of this thing, trying to basically feel its body shape with my shoulder as I'm just rushing into this fucking thing, just making it an arm crashing my body in.
Ooh, mama, these hot rolls tonight, as that will definitely connect. As you
slam it into the side of, is that right? Yeah.
You feel this heavy weight against these things. Are
right.
quite hard and toughened. It should be 1 + 5.
Yeah. Do I not get? No, that's the hit. God, it's been so long since I've played this character in combat. It's just +1 to hit.
Crash into his body. Ooh, as you feel this thing ripple against your body, still maintaining its strength.
As the key in my body connects with the surrounding air around it, trying to feel where it is, what it is, and also cut its movement. As I'm going to try to stunning strike.
Alrighty. Ooh, man, this stunning strike. These are the ones that are doing it. as you'll catch this thing again, seeing the invisibility that seems to surround it suddenly shatter as its form becomes held still and also quite visible as it stands in this sort of loopy stance as it tries to right itself. You can see the vines reaching up to catch on his feet, keeping him from even really falling over.
As I wheel back and just send two quick punches into its side, just cracking in with a flurry of blows. Maybe not necessary, but it's 21, 26 to hit.
Ooh, as those
Crack.
both connect. Ooh, as you crack each fist into this creature, you can feel its body bending and turning against you. Still quite hardy against your fists, but losing its strength with every strike.
As I wheel back around, bar in hand, as I just crack it across the face, its body weakened up, softened up, tenderized, as I just try to strike it down, but striking it across the back of the head, the neck, trying to cut off that blood pressure just for a second to send it unconscious. And I'm just gonna strike just not trying to kill it.
Nice. As that'll
30.
connect. Ooh, as you crack it in the side of the head, you can see its head immediately reel backwards. It looks like it's about to fall unconscious, but it manages to find 1 foot to keep itself level, as it seems to be barely standing.
And with my senses sharpened, is this the last one it seems like that's accosting us?
It seems as if in total, you think there's probably one more than you had estimated from your previous senses, one probably farther than you could sense from your immediate perception. But yeah, it seems like if there's any more, you can't hear them. Pretty confident it's the last one.
This one is going nowhere. I'll put that down here in a moment. As that's my turn.
Alright, this creature is swaying to and fro, unable to move. This creature, you're probably dead. You're not that guy, you're probably dead. Bah! As Swift Hollow on the ground, watching this creature, keeping itself barely on its feet. I think Tamarcon was trying to bash its head rather than crash through its body with its weapon. What do you want to do?
Swift Hollow will kip up and for a moment just aim her crossbow. Oh, it'd be so easy, but...
Oh, yeah, but so easy.
Yeah, no. Yeah, right. She quickly takes the crossbow bolt, shoots it, dry fires it, and holsters herself. Onto hostile lands, it seems. As that fire in her eyes sort of dies. As that's her turn.
Alright. This creature also dead. Quildor, you find yourself landing on stable feet. Your creature cut down, and it looks like one's barely on his feet.
Hey, stop biting me.
Leave that kitty alone. Deal with this kitty.
You get attacked by another cat!
Yep. Did I hear that we're gonna keep this one alive?
Like Tamarcon was, you can tell Tamarcon was just sort of bashing this one on the head rather than trying to break its body. Sort of bonking it.
This is difficult terrain.
Only
Not
for
for you.
enemies.
Oh, okay.
And the plant seemed to actually bend and open up for your feet.
So then I will move there, and with non-lethal. Is he stunned?
Certainly is.
Yep, non-lethal.
Action search.
They're all non-lethal.
Non-lethal damage. As the first one would be enough to do, you crack him against the side of the head. How do you knock him unconscious with your burning sword?
As I just turn, as the sword has kind of an interesting pommel on it, it's almost got like a point to it, as I just kind of turn in my hand, almost like a hammer, and just clock it right in the temple.
You hear this crack, not against the sword, but against like maybe a side of the bone of this creature's head, as it immediately the light in its eyes seem to immediately fade as it falls unconscious to the ground. As with that, there is a moment of calm that falls over this forest until you're back. Return to the elven forest and its ambience. As it seems like surrounding you, all the creatures are now either dead or lying unconscious on the ground.
So I'm not a Quildor. Thank you, Quildor.
Caterpie, it's safe to come out now.
And there's a moment of silence before the water sort of breaches, and you can see this layered, looking like wet hair sort of parting across the water, this tiny little head peeking up. Are you done playing with the kitties? Oh dear. Oh, you played really rough with them.
They float us over to the other side.
as this creature puts a hoof into the mud but keeps itself somewhat stable as it erects itself before you. Again, you can hear now, all of you, the sort of pulse in your mind as this majestic voice carries out into your consciousness. I have you to thank. These beasts, once under the protection of their guardian, have been twisted by the strange magic that plagues this land. Plague? They no longer obey the order of nature, and have been touched by the strange arcana, hoping to overthrow the powers that be. I barely escaped with my life, but in doing so was of good faith, for the gods have brought you to me. I have you to thank. As he sort of once again lower himself and kneel before you, Persephone, and the presiding, now gathering valiant vanguard. My name is Androwin, and I am the guardian of the Silver Veil.
So no one else is freaking out by this horse talking to us. It's just me. Okay.
Persephone just got like that wide grin on her face, the way that she always does when she gets really, really, really excited.
How common is the lore on unicorns?
You know that unicorns were essentially one of the first beasts in existence. In the era of the really the early era of the Titans, when the primordial beasts first walked the lands and were challenged by the Titans themselves, that there were a number of beasts that first walked the lands. One of them being the unicorns. Since the fall of the Titans and the rise of the elves and their nations, the unicorns have actually been these presiding forces that have helped marry the forces of nature and civilization for elven kind. They are the unspoken guardians of the Illyrian forest. They don't often reveal themselves to others unless there is dire need for such. And it seems as if that to come across one's path is either a task that requires an ill heart, someone who wanders into their veil with ill intent to cause harm, or those in seek of aid. You would know that to basically stumble across a unicorn is a pretty big privilege. And there's something that has since faded from the Tyrian lands since the end of the war. It seems that most of them preside in the current Illyria.
Persephone's gonna curtsy. Persephone, guardian to spirits, Fae, primordial, and prime.
So I'll just drop to a knee as well. Well met, Ancient One.
And so I shove my staff in between this giant cat's legs and just sort of pry his body to just sort of flip him over to get a better look at him. Just sort of half paying attention to the.
It's fine, Tamarkan. We know you want to rub his belly. It's fine.
The majestic creature behind me. And the wind. And Ma. I did not realize that your territory stretches far east. You're a bit away from your people.
There are many of our kind that are spread far across this forest. We are its guardians to assume order within the forest. But order has since been removed. As he'll look over to you, Persephone, and then over to your ally, Calliope, just kind of looking up a little sad. I'm not the plague, we're just here having fun. Your kind has since invaded our lands and pervaded magics that have disrupted the balance that flows through it. Intention or not, it is an issue that has cost greatly. As you see him sort of grunt a little bit, and you can see his wounds, still fresh, but now freshly healed, still seeming to cause him some pain. Not the plague, though.
Persephone is going to go into her little herbalism pouch and pull out a little mossy sponge poultice and help apply it to any remaining wounds.
This should at least help ease your pain throughout the day.
As he'll sort of let you rub it against his body, as he'll sort of look back to you. You have a kind heart. I appreciate this. But tell me, why do you travel through these woods? They are dangerous, unkempt, and as of now, uncontrolled.
We tend to cross through the veil, into the realm that is weaving its magic into ours.
You wish to enter this world of plaguing magic.
Yes, it's exactly as you said. Intention or not, it is creating issues. My my family may not have been able to properly understand what is happening, but I intend to. I intend to restore the balance.
The elves are meddling with forces they do not truly understand, nor can truly control. But you seem gifted with wisdom, and from what you've bestowed here, the potential to make such a possible change. I would hope you would do such. In doing so, the guardian of the Silver Veil would find himself indebted. You seek a portal, a thinning of the veil between this world and the next.
And we
It's my
seek
portal.
to not be followed either. There are vested interests who care not for the balance, who care not for the plaguing magic that bewitches your great lands. They would see to it that we are stopped. If our mission is as noble and as wise as our kind-hearted little friend has expressed, you can aid us in eluding them, and that would be most appreciated.
Your actions here have saved the life of a forest guardian. Repayment is simply restoring order to that disbalance. As he'll lower his head towards you guys. If it's a portal you seek, I know of such a place. It resides within the reach of my territory. I can take you there in a moment's notice. Though the magics that grow there, that fester, they may change the powers of which you've used here. It contends with magic that is crafted by the hands of man, even those that I have learned myself. It is a place where this magic is strongest, where the veil is thinnest. You might find your magic failing you, but my magic, natural to this land, may take you there safely, if you wish.
Most appreciated.
Cutting down some time would be a great way to avoid being tracked. If you can do such a thing, Yes,
Yes,
Persephone.
I was going to say before we go off, if anybody needs to recoup their strength, let us know now. I fear once we cross through, if Caleb is right, this may not be the last of our battles today.
I could use just a short bit. I extended myself a little bit more than normal.
In the round. Undoing. Ask you two questions.
Seeking wisdom and knowledge from a great being is normally costly. But considering the circumstances, as he'll kind of look you up and down, his eye seems to stop and linger at your waist for a moment before going back up to you.
Oh.
Check
I may allow it.
Added to the debt, I suppose. You mentioned, and I guessed. This one, under your charge. I'm sorry I could not save more. Do you wish for its second chance, or do you know that it is too far gone?
These creatures are misguided. Within my territory, there is an aura of peace and maintenance. The balance of nature is not to be touched or disturbed. Such is my purpose, given to me by the All-Father. You have spared its life. If given time, away from its kind, away from others. If you can truly strip this land of the plaguing magic, perhaps it will be fine. The magics that plague it and change it will be removed, and order will be restored. I will take him under my charge if you wish. But it is your prey.
No, it's for you to decide. Very well. I hope it recovers. And the other, this world, as you say, has been changed, but what of the grow? What of Verevone?
Didn't catch that, sorry.
What of your grove? What of Erevon?
At the heart of the Illyrian forest rests where our kind gather. The magic has not yet reached them. It is not so far spread. It is simply my own territory that has been touched. It is my task to deal with, but alas, I alone as a guardian can only do so much.
Well, if you find yourself returning there before we do, tell Erevon that Tamar continues to repay his debt.
Yes, he'll look you over again. I certainly hope so. All of you have time to rest. I cannot guarantee your safety if you linger here longer, but the prey who have spent their time tracking me, they are gone now, save for one. I would advise leaving before it wakes up. It might find teeth for you once more. As you guys would have some time to make a little short rest, a little 15 minutes.
Patch up my
Percy-
wound on my shoulder.
Falls upon her bubble to protect us. Little hearth of moonlight and shadow.
Nice.
How does my thing work again? I was like, call upon that strange emptiness, the flow of life within my body, and focus
God.
it on my shoulder that just got cut. Trying to find the button. Where is it? I've got a new button. I want to press it. Fuck you guys. Ah!
Healing,
I
interesting.
use
I like
key
that.
to heal and mend my body. 'Cause it seems like the emptiness changes and patches me up. Oh
Ooh,
god,
it's a little too much.
not 190, Jesus.
So much healing.
He's so strong.
All right.
How does Calliope look as we're resting? She kind of got news that her presence is causing trouble in the forest, and Mr. Unicorn looked not too happy with her.
Yeah, she seems kind of personally hurt by it. You'd see her like as she's over sitting by the edge of a rock. Her hair is long veil of kelp seems to be completely covering her face, and she's kind of just muttering to herself under it.
I'm
Not
gonna
the
sit
flag.
next to her. You okay?
I don't like showing people my face. They see me and they think things of me, and sometimes they say things about me, and I don't like it when they say those things. I'm not the plague. I'm just here to have fun. I just want to see a wedding.
Hey. Persephone's just gonna put a hand on her shoulder. It's not. You're not doing it on purpose. But it's also important that sometimes we hurt things and people when we don't mean to. That doesn't mean we're bad. It just means we need to be a little more careful and also understand our own influence.
I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just having fun. I sometimes will take something that belongs to someone and hide it, and I can't find it for a very long time, but that's not bad. Not hurting people. I'm not a plague.
No, you're not a plague.
Is me being here bad? Is this wedding bad?
I would not worry. The unicorns are good people, but they can be awfully strict at times. Stick up the butt. If there ever was one.
Caleb, don't look at it as if it's good or it's bad. It's just complicated right now. My father thinks the blessing that Queen Titania will give us, he thinks that's good, and I agree it might be good. But to combine the magic of Feywild and the world of Prime, it's not so easy, and we need to be very careful, something that I don't think everyone else has been.
What can I do?
You can help us. And
if I need to be perfectly honest with you, Calliope. I'm not so certain about this wedding, but the wedding doesn't need to happen for us to still consider each other sisters. And I'm still going to be your friend, no matter what happens in this.
You promise?
Persephone takes a flower off from her headband and then puts it behind one of Calliope's flippers.
I promise.
And she'll like place it in like the middle of her kelp to kind of look at it, and then you'll see like sort of sprouting from the rest of her plant here, from both in a crown around her head and also just sort of gradually down the lengths of these long strands, more of these small flowers, sort of shifting and taking the form almost like a lotus more than a small like rose or a tulip. Okay,
You want a hug?
I would very much like a hug.
Persephone wraps her arms around Calliope and gives her a big hug.
A little wet, but she hugs you back.
We're going to figure this out. That's why
Okay.
we came.
Very nice, Persephone. I'm glad I met you. I'm glad you're my sister.
I'm glad I have a sister. You're like my second sister. Luna's my other sister. I've decided.
Swift Hollow just sits there and just cringes.
It's a strange thing to decide on your own, but okay.
What about me?
That-
Bit of a unilateral decision. Wait, so what's am I, Persephone?
Also my sister?
Yikes.
You have a lot of
That
sisters.
will make things
I have a
rather
really big
peculiar.
family now.
Well,
I
means
would
just
call you- I would kind of like, I don't know. It's weird to call you like a mother because you're not really like a mother to me. So I guess if you're not going to be a sister or a mother, you'd be my aunt, but I have a really bad association with my aunt, and I kind of don't want to think about that when I think of you.
Yikes.
You're like that woman that like has the same commute as me to work, so I see you like every day, but it's like we never really say anything. We just like acknowledge each other's presence. It's like that, right?
If you don't like the family analogy, then can you at least trust when I say that you are some of my closest friends?
It's okay, Persephone. She understands. She's just messing with you.
Like a sister.
Like a
The
sister!
tuning. Is the tuning magic items over a long rest or short rest?
You can do have a short rest.
Okie doke. This with Hollow reattunes, changes around her attunements a bit. As, for the first time in a while, her armor reverts away from looking, I suppose, nice and glamorous to, yeah, it just looks like armor now. She unattunes to it. Thankfully, it's still magical. But she changes around her attunement slots.
Nice.
Arranging the items that she's going to need because I don't think she's going to need to look glamorous for this next part, huh?
And I
Going to
my
say well, you never know.
stone.
Yeah. We might have to blend in, but Swithal believes in herself. Or rather, in the fact that everything else is going to be hunting them.
Alright.
Yeah, Swithal changes around her attunement slots, reattuning to several items. More combat focused now.
Alright, as with that, quick 15 minutes comes to an end. Heartfelt talk. You see Androin sort of rise from his seat. This creature will wake in time, and more may come instead. All of you, stand close. It is time. As it tries to get everyone around him, you'll sort of nudge people to sort of reach out and put their hand against his body. Place your hand against my form. You'll be there in moments.
I'm gonna touch his mane.
Nope.
You feel like your
Joke.
your
Touch
hair,
the hair. What the fuck, dude?
your hair goes up towards its edge, and it almost seems like your hand moves through it as if it were phantasmal. But truly, it's that the hairs along it are so fine, so supernaturally clean and pristine that it almost feels like air. As even Calliope gets on it next to her other sister.
You can cast
Reaching out.
magic without breaking it for a rest, right?
Sure. As long as you're not like just summoning something big. It's just like casting like prestidigitation healers to clean stuff, whatever. You can cast it at the end of it as well. You're coming out of it. Cool. Slap in the belly.
I cast it at 14 minutes 39 seconds.
No, unfortunately not. As coming out and reaching your hand upon Andruin's form, you'd see his body begin to shimmer. And again, sort of the spiral, this golden horn at the crest of his head begins to glow until the spiral, the actual light seeming to run up along its spiraled length, begins to reach out and swirl like a great spiral around you guys until it consumes you in a soft, warm, bathing light. And in the next moment, unlike the other times you've thrown yourself through the veil, some of you seem to have this like a strange, like gut-dropping feeling as you drop through time and space. It almost feels like a sort of refreshing sensation, as if you'd seen bright sunlight and the sun was alleviated from your eyes. As when you open them, you are no longer standing in the edge of the stream. You hear the sounds of water next to you, but they're louder, deepened, and resonating. You hear the crashing of water against rock, and the babbling of a sounds to be at least 2 brooks, as you stand at the precipice of a great hole in the ground, a great dip, almost like a basin of sorts, that once looks like it was made by the hands of man, but nature has completely overtaken it, vines and roots growing across all of its forms. Dipping down into a deep shadowed pond in this later evening, you would see at its base a deep pond, maybe hard to say how deep it is, maybe 30 or 40 feet. All the water, even the stream that you are following, seems to flow into, although it seems as if there's a great dip from where you stand and where you walk towards its edge. A small staircase that might take you there. As you would find yourselves at the heart, appearing out of seemingly nowhere, of a great basin. A pond of swirling and bubbling water, and the air itself teeming with soft light. These tiny little glowing, you'd almost think they're fireflies, but as you get closer, they're formless. They're shapeless. They're just balls of light that even Caleb sort of notices and puts their hands around. Well, here we are. Now, this seems very familiar. Oh, but seems like this place has been growing quite a bit. The plants have grown all over the place. And look, there's will-o-wisps everywhere.
Oh.
Wait, is the unicorn still here?
Unicorn's gone.
Did I, when I was running my hand through its mane, are there any hairs left in my hand?
There seemed to be one single golden strand wrapped between your fingers, as if whether accidentally or intentionally plucked. Again, it feels almost like it's not even there. It's airy and light.
I'm gonna put it in my handy haversack because I figure unicorn hair is pretty fucking rare.
Very much so. It's a hair of a creature whose time and existence has long preceded creatures in this land. As Caleb will be walking forward, these creatures are so very, temperamental. Watch where you walk around them. And she'll sort of like point out these soft glowing lights. They used to be Fae a long time ago, but they, might be a warning for the gloaming court. Lots of fake creatures, when they die, at least the first time, they come back quite quickly, take a new form. Not so much all creatures. Sometimes they get too sad. Sometimes they have no reason or will to return to form, and they get lost. And when they get lost for too long, they can't transform back. They just become little balls of light.
So look over at Persephone as she's hearing this. Subtly.
Seems all around you. You see these tiny little balls floating around you, maybe the size of a quarter or so. Some of them even like maybe bump into you or touch, and there's just the strangest sort of staticky feeling. Your hair might stand up next to them as they fly by. They sort of seem to pay you no mind, just sort of swimming around through the air aimlessly.
Is there
All
any
right.
process to this, Calipir? Do we just dive in?
You just dive right into the big swirling. Okay. Hold on now. There's supposed to be a big swirling like light in the middle of this water. There's no big swirling light right now. That's weird. That doesn't happen.
I wonder if every portal to another realm is underneath a body of water, or if it's just 2 for 2, purely out of circumstance.
Let's see.
Water has a very easy way of connecting to places. It is a
Also, I
mirror
would
into other worlds.
also think that if there was just a portal sitting out in a place, people would probably find it.
I found it. I found mine. It was just in the water. But
But you are the water, Calliope.
I'm not the water. I just live in it sometimes. But it should be right here. It looks exactly the same except for some plants. Lots of roots here. There's not as many roots growing everywhere. It looks like it knocked some stuff over.
I look down. Does it look familiar? Does it seem too similar to the one in Garen's Well? And I can figure it out.
From what you
It's
can
another
tell,
one.
it just the only thing you can really tell from your own perspective is this water looks like it's just deep and wide. It's much larger than the one in Garen's Well, but you do feel that sort of connection. One thing you really feel is the sort of electrically charged sensation in the air, that feeling as a magic user that there is strange, powerful magic flowing in and around you, but nothing that seems to indicate what Calipy's describing. Let's see, everything seems the same. There's lots of vines everywhere, lots of plants overgrowing things. The statues are still where they are. The bridge looks like it's been through some hell.
Was there anything before Calliope that was glowing or emitting any sort of magical power? Crystals or the like, something that might have gotten knocked over by the vines?
Oh, look, there was always light coming off of somewhere up there. Well, there's lots of plates on those statues' hands, but I don't see them now. Oh, there might be one there. As you can see from up in distance between these statues on the northern end of the pond, you see it looks to be the vines have grown up and over these. It looks like they're hooded figures with their hands clasped close to their chest and their fingers curled up. It looks like they should be holding something, but some of the vines have reached up and knocked some of them over. You can see a couple of these looks like dustied and dirtied objects, flat, almost like you assume like saucers or plates just laying on the ground between them. But those are always there, and there's always a portal. Do you think there's something connecting them?
Maybe.
Most likely.
I'm gonna take a look.
Persephone is going to run and leap over this edge and then into the air using my hidden pass to go 60 feet.
I could though she's going off by herself. Gonna try and take Samantha and myself on the carpet. Does the carpet work fine?
Sure. You get onto your carpet, you start to fly forward. You feel sort of jitter every once in a while. Not characteristic of it, but it does seem to hold itself level with your command.
I'm going to go straight over the pool of darkness. I'm going to go slowly around just so that Persephone's not over there by herself.
Okay. As Persephone, you land right next to these statues again. You can find, again, it looks like the plants have definitely overgrown this area, sort of scattering and clattering some of the objects around. You see closer, it looks like this was something of a shrine of sorts, with sort of the wall behind this large statue having been carved and written with the word of Sylvan tongue. And again, their hands are clasped to their chests, but it looks like only one of them still holds what it was supposed to, just barely. These silver, at least now you can tell, silver-looking discs. A couple of them on the ground as Luna and Samantha get by. You can see they're sort of touched on the ground. You might pick one up and dust it off. And I guess after the mud and grime is removed, you'd see one of these plates is in fact sheer silver. The first thing you'd see in its face is that of your own, staring back at you.
It certainly gives a different credence to people drowning in lakes when you think about it.
How do you mean?
We stay
Also, that
away
sounds
to
terrible.
another world.
I didn't even think about that. We'd probably have so many people who thought they drowned in here just came to a new world. I wonder how many fake thought they drowned and turned into
the wildlife, anyways, but
Alright.
I'm sure it would have been exciting.
So what are you guys doing?
She said the plates were in the statue's hands, right?
As Persephone cleans off one of the discs and starts placing one back in an empty set of hands.
As you place it back there, Persephone is rubbing some of the dust off. You do see around the rim of this disc there is more sylvan writing. You look down into your hands, and as they're sort of like turning around to read the whole thing, you do see it says a simple phrase along its edge. A treasured site.
A treasured site?
What was that,
That all
Persephone?
plates?
There are words on the edges of these plates. me see.
So Persephone puts that one down. She's gonna look at another one to see if there's more words.
Sure. Next plate, you pull over, dust it off again, see your face in it. It says a fledgling flame.
Treasured site. A fledgling flame.
And then the last one.
This one seems to be the most dirtied somehow. You able to use some magic, sort of spark it away. You'd see it seems to shine almost brightest. It says a brilliant gem.
A brilliant gem.
Treasured site, a brilliant gem, and what was it, a budding flame?
A fledgling flame.
Are there any symbols on the statues?
Not on the statues themselves, but on the wall behind them, you do see that stretch of sylvan text written along and carved into the stone. As you
One more
read through it,
sentence.
yeah, it seems to be several long strings. Some of it seems to be worn away by whether it's weather or simply the encroaching plant life, but otherwise you do make out a couple strings of text. It seems as if it's almost like a sacrament or a prayer of sorts. The Lady of Mirrored Waters seeks an offering. 3 wise men hold 3 silver plates. 3 silver plates hold 3 offerings. 3 wise men offer only 1 gift.
As Persephone's reading it out loud and starting to translate it.
We might need to put something on these plates to activate the portal.
Does anyone have a ruby?
What?
I'm just asking Luna and Persephone at the moment.
Did you find the shiny thing?
No. Do any of you have a ruby, by chance?
I have
Give
this.
up all of the gems that we got from the dragon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in Smith Hollow's assorted coinage, I doubt she carries gems, but I don't know. Does she?
I pull out my 4,700 GP in gems. Do I have a ruby in there?
There's a few rubies in there, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, we have a lot of cash. I'm not sure how much I liquidated into gold, but I'm pretty sure some of those are like precious stones, question mark.
Yeah, all my gems are in the bank.
Three
With
wise
all
men
the
Yeah,
food,
okay,
we should
I'll
probably
use
go over there, yes. Maybe go for a bit of a swim? What do you think, Quildor? Is it a good idea?
I think it would be a better idea to walk over there.
You're perfectly right, as I start charging my way in and dive into the water. As
All
right
right.
as I hit the bottom of the water,
You die.
my hands hit it. And I spring up and I roll and I just start walking across the water towards them.
Little ripples beneath his feet as he just walking across it like it's solid. Yeah, down below Tamarcon, you can actually see through some of the water, somewhat murky. Looks like there's long-reaching kelp going from the bottom up, sort of obscuring vision. Looks like even the overgrowth has reached the bottom of this place as well.
Anything on the ground, Persephone? I have a hard time seeing, even with all these eyes.
Oh, let me see.
As I'm also going to cast a little bit of Produce Flame in my hand to give me some extra light, because I think it's nighttime or something.
All right. It's the evening. It's the sun setting. He has crossed quite a bit of distance to the teleport.
Eternal dusk.
The sun never truly sets on the Elven Empire.
Flames shine. Immediately, your eyes kind of catch for a moment as these sheer silver plates sort of reflect some of the light, and you can see, yeah, it almost illuminates the place quite readily.
Are you coming? That's what I'll calls out to Calliope.
I can cross quite easily, actually. As she sort of like pretend to jump, and immediately her form just disperses into water as she just sort of reappears over here. Make it the game! Oh, you're quite quick. Whoop! Yeah, she'll sort of just teleport with these strange little spurts of water to land in the next spot.
So what are we looking at? We have the... Well, we need to put something in the bowls.
It's a riddle. It's a riddle. The Lady
Where?
of Mirrored Waters
Seeks an offering as Persephone's like waving her finger like in the air, rereading off of the back wall.
3 wise men
Gesture to the statues,
hold 3 silver plates.
and then to the plates in their hands.
3 silver plates hold 3 offerings. 3 wise men offer only 1 gift.
Look at that! It's like a
And
shrine to my teacher.
And on these plates, they all say something. This one says a brilliant gem. This one says a fledgling flame, and this one says a treasured sight.
She did always like to speak in riddles. Interesting.
You know this lady of the lake?
Yes! She's a
Oh.
person from the Immortal Kingdom. Oh, yeah, she's, well, my teacher, more my brother's teacher. We
Oh.
called her the Serpent of the Mirrored Waters, though.
Oh, she must take many forms. I like her already.
I think I remember you mentioning this.
Yeah. She
Is
always
she
liked,
fond of rubies by chance?
I'm not really sure. She likes secrets and, well, like I said, riddles. She taught lessons, but only if you could earn what they taught. She never gave you the answer straightforwardly. You were supposed to find it yourself. I would, like I say, not very good at the lessons.
Well, a brilliant gem and treasured sight makes me think of gemstones. Flames have a connection to orange and red typically. I'd think either ruby or garnet. Or perhaps citrine, but that seems really odd.
You think the
Then
answers
you
are
only need
different
to
types?
offer one gift. No, the 3 wise men offer only one gift, so there should be an answer to this that answers all 3 requirements: a brilliant gem, a fledgling flame, and a treasured sight. I don't know if we need, I guess 3 rubies would be what I would try first, with 3 plates. You're only offering 1 gift in the sense that they're the same thing, but I think each one needs to have something. Yeah, they hold 3 offerings.
Killer P, do you remember what were on the plates before?
I didn't really pay much attention. I just saw that there was some glowing over there, and I just lose the particle. I don't know. I didn't see anything.
So
Is there
then was
anything left in the plates? Any remnants of anything?
No,
There
seems
were
like they're actually the only thing you see in the plate Tamarcon as you take one is it's sort of like you hold it where you're standing right now. You see some of the actual like now setting sun catches the edge of reflected edge, catches you in the face for a second, and then you look down, and all you can see in the plate, sort of at the bottom of this sort of I guess beveled dish end, is a very handsome face looking back at you. Hello there.
A gift to give, indeed.
You said you had a collection of gems, Gwildor, or no?
Yes, I do. What were you going to say though, Persephone?
Well, there was stuff on this originally. I was going to start looking around with spirit, see if maybe when the plates fell, so did the offerings. If Calliope's never had this problem before, then the overgrowth probably disturbed the placement of the magic materials.
It could certainly just be on the ground, and hopefully not in the water. Check around the statues, then.
Yes, Persephone is going to call upon my little hummingbird friend. We're gonna go search around, see if we find any magical material items of sorts.
Sure. Summon forth this tiny, flitting little hummingbird to join you in your search. What the rest of y'all, what are you doing?
I'll dig in and try to find 3 rubies.
Sure. You definitely find 3 rubies. They're about equal size. They take some time to go through the whole massive gems, but they're definitely there. As yeah, looking around Persephone, you don't really see much besides just overgrowth, dirt. It looks like what would have been something of value. Maybe the stonework or its carving has been worn away. You don't really see anything that stands out. Maybe some polished stones from water or rolling over them. This place seems to be hard to tell. I don't think there'd be anything around here.
Nothing over here.
Calliope, have you seen the magic that Persephone's father activates within the palace, I suppose? The portal conjured up by that tree, that whole process.
Oh,
Have you
I don't
seen anything?
really I don't really see how that happens. I don't really care. I'm just waiting for the wedding to happen. Why?
I wasn't sure if you'd played any pranks or anything there. I was just trying to make
Oh,
sure.
no. I'd get in a lot of trouble if I got doing that. I don't want to cause that much trouble.
Nothing on the
Well, that's
ground,
good.
Persephone. You're just confirming that you didn't find anything, and what were you saying,
No,
Luna?
no.
Luna is going to summon her little, her Hound of Will Omen, since I don't believe any undead creature needs to breathe. So he's going to take a swim.
All right, sort of seamlessly hitting the surface of the water without really disturbing it as he simply sinks inside. Again, the first thing you do is get sort of well, you would be halted by some of the rising, thick kelp rising from the bottom, able to slip through in your sort of ghostly form. A little hard to see down here. It seems like everything is thick and well overgrown. If you weren't ethereal in your own strange and corporeal undead way, you think you might get tangled up in some of this mess down here, but you'd spend some time searching. You'd see just tall, reaching roots. Maybe eventually seeing a soft glow of a light that as you approach closer to the surface, you'd realize it's just one of these soft little glowing spirits passing above, emitting a soft little glow of light.
Comes back. I don't believe there was anything in the water. Maybe stolen by someone who went in. Probably didn't want this to go through. Are you sure you're the only person that knows where this is, Calliope? What about your other brother?
I don't think I'd ever tell him about this. He'd probably tell Mother, and Mother would be upset, and she'd probably try to get rid of it. It's my little portal. I'm keeping it. I'm the only one who I know who's used it. Everything looks about the same, just a little overgrown. And the plates aren't really on the hands anymore.
So I'll use a bit of a mage hand and try to pick up one of the plates and put it back on the put a ruby on it if Coldor has the three of them, and put it back on the statue's hands.
Sure. Which one are you putting on?
I'd start with the one that says a brilliant gem.
Sure. As you put it up against this one, you see the small ruby clatters at its center, and you put it at the very center of the statue, sits, rumbling this thing's curled hands.
And repeat the process for the other two.
Okay, ting, ting. You put one, the other one, for the final one, this one. You actually go to this statue down here, put the plate down, and immediately kind of turn your eyes away. As again, you find that the last bit of sunlight has sort of struck this silvered plate, and some of the light actually begins to shine up from it, almost like a small pillar up at your face, sort of illuminating the ruby within. But as you put each one down, silence.
I suppose not that then.
There was never one to be so literal.
Yes. A fledgling flame, treasured sight. There are situations where the sight of perhaps stars, moons, or the sun could be considered treasured. I don't know if I've ever heard of the moon being referred to as a treasured sight. Or rather a gem. Calliope, was it always day or night when you came here? Either or?
It's usually the daytime. I never think I came at nighttime. Although we'll see, it's about to become night soon.
But if you came during the day and the portal was here, then I don't think we need the moon. Don't know how we can offer it either.
I mean, I can give you the moon right now. Well, I meant to wait a little bit. As he points down the water.
I felt so immature because the first thing that came to mind was that she was gonna move me. It was a perfect setup.
That butt.
Yeah, I was like, if Tamar Khan said that, I'd be expecting the monkey ass immediately.
You can see, if you want the stars, you can see it. That's all I like about the water. See, the stars are out at night, you can't reach them. But if you're in the water, you can. They're right in your hand.
You can't pick them up out of the water, though, can you?
Of course I can. Watch, I shall bend down to the water. I'm going to pick myself out of the water. I shall cup the water and bring it up underneath your face. Look, I am. In my own hands. You see like a little reflection shining back at you.
Purse is gonna grab the silver plate that was reflecting light, and then is it like all flat, or is it one of those plates that has like a little divot in it?
Got a little
Can I
divot inside.
Purse is going to stick the plate in and scoop up some water, and then just carefully just try to put it back into the hands and see what she can see in the water when she places it back.
Sure, you put it in the water again. You see the light sort of shine down, and again, almost seems like the divot of the bowl itself seems to condense some of the light and raise it up in a long pillar up back at your face. You just simply see yourself in it, but you do see that, I guess, the water of this now focusing it gives like a single long thin pillar of light coming out from its middle. That's pretty bright.
What if that is
Process.
the moon, the stars, and the sun? If you can see it all and hold it in the water, and the plates can hold the water, what if that's the one gift?
Water? It
Water.
could certainly be a brilliant gem looking at it from the beach. I don't know Fledgling Flame, but it's worth a try. As I'll use Mage Hand to get the rubies out and give them back to Quildor and repeat the process, hopefully scooping
Put
up
them in my
water and placing
backpack.
those in the hands.
Huh? Just seems like as you put them in the other
Flame.
ones, pledging them down, nothing. I mean, it seems like you put them down in this shaded area. The water fills the basin, a little tiny bowl of the saucer, I guess you'd say it is. But just seems to be sitting with a bowl of water. One that seems to be shining is the one in the light.
Do we need to cut away these branches and trees to get more light in here?
I'd hope not. I would
Does-
not be surprised if doing that causes the trees to lash out at us. Can we just try to
Actually-
replicate the light?
Well,
Persephone, can you do that?
Purse is looking up at the overgrowth. Does it look like it's blocking the sky from here?
Part of it, yeah. It's pretty tall overgrowth, though. If you're trying to clear it, it would take some time. This is some elven tree shit.
No, that's okay. I think I've got it. As Purse is going to wave her hands around and cast Speak with Plants. And I'm going to kindly ask the brambles, excuse me, would you be able to part ways so we can see the sky, please?
As give me a wisdom check.
Mm.
I think I'm going to use my inspiration on this one.
Sure.
Seems like a smart call.
All right. As you feel suddenly that strange but somewhat familiar crackling sensation as your magic reaches out into your surroundings, almost trying to fight you for a moment and twist out of your control, but you manage to take control of it in the last moment. And the trees start to sway, and you can hear, not even really a response, just sort of a swishing of wind through their branches as you can see them start to coil back ever so slightly, casting some light down into this area. And as the light strikes the first statue, you can see the first pillar rise up, strikes the second statue, third pillar rises up. That looks sort of familiar, as all three pillars of light seemingly focus in the bottoms of these bowls, seem to reach up towards the sky.
Was that it?
Is that it?
No?
I don't
Terse
see the
runs to
water
the edge.
contorting.
Look underneath my feet.
Oh, no, I
As you
hear it,
see
though.
the light beginning to shine between the bowls, you can see from the light gathering around them, some of the cracks in the stonework begin to softly pulse with a bit of life. Same sort of crackling energy in the air. Some of these tiny little lights floating around you begin to spark as well. Almost like electricity is running through the whole area down to the ground, even beneath your feet, Tamarcon, into the water. As oh, I think it's happening. I think it worked. I think you solved it. Crackling water begins to stir, and then you see the soft light shining up from the bottom, silhouetted by a large swirling mass. I think that's it. I think there's something in the way. As the water bubbles and the water boils, and from a soft glowing light of crackling electricity that rises from the bottom, of this basin, you could see the plant life get charged as well as electrical currents run along all of the roots around you, giving rise to this mass of looks like kelp and vines that press themselves and breach the surface of the water until it starts to turn and contort and writhe, its body seemingly filled with soft motes of light that spread out through the air around you. As at the center of this great basin, a massive form of plant life surfaces. And electricity crackles all across its form. Now that's a little new. And
Another
it
guardian.
You can hear in your mind, Persephone, the strange magic connecting you to the plant life around you. A strange voice calling out, "More. Feed me more." As it surges forward in your direction, vines crackling through the ground, even ripping up through some of the surrounding overgrowth, as both this massive plant life, the sparks in the air, and even the plant life surrounding you begins to writhe out hostilely. As that is where we will end tonight's session, with seemingly the magic restored to this basin, but in seemingly giving rise to something new, strange, powerful life given by this fey magic that seems to be not quite too kind.
Lordy. That was good. Nothing like a puzzle that ends up in a fight.
Oh, yeah.
Contrasting most players' favorite and not so favorite things beautifully together. I love it. Good shit. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I want to thank you all so much for hanging out with us. I'm looking forward to fighting this thing in a couple Thursdays. Next Thursday on the 17th. Right here, hopefully at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for some more Song of Rapture. There's also a wonderful game that I run on Sundays that is currently on hiatus, but you can enjoy the VODs or podcast recordings on our official podcast on Anchor.fm or Spotify, any place you can listen to podcasts. We just broke over 1,250 listens to the podcast, so be sure to maybe help us get to 15 or maybe 2,000. Who knows? Check it out. It's pretty cool. And come on back for some more Song of Rapture next week right here on Lionhead Gaming. We are going to host a sort of new friend to the channel. Wonderful little group here as we wind down for the evening. But I want to thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Feel free to drop into our Discord if you want to talk about our games or share some of your own, or just argue with us about what spells need to be fixed or this, that, or the other. Fun times all around. Or just look at memes and talk about pop culture stuff. It's a fun time, so hop on in. I want to thank a host of people. We got so many follows tonight. Thank you, Johnny Thunder, for 40 months of subscription. Your support is greatly appreciated. Tarumi is God. Thank you for so much for the subscription as well. Hypencast, thank you for following. JT Money, Oline Banana, HE Spinge, Fint Motley, thank you so much for following. Believable Seal, thank you for following. Dismay is Man, Wild Turkey, and Fat and Red Convertible. Thank you so much for following as well. And I hope to see you again in the future. That's all I've got for you. So I hope you had fun. I know I did. And as always, may your dice roll 20s, and you always make your saves.
Later, y'all.
Toodles.
Bye.
Don't touch.
Oh no. Poor Blue Greek. Miss gets scolded.
I forgot to
Thank you for the likes, the comments.
Hi friends, I'm so sorry I forgot to mute myself. We're gonna have to cut that out of the YouTube video.
Oh no, you did.
I don't remember where we were.
Oh, just I answered Galen and waiting for a response.
And Leon was taking the lingerie from Lee.
Yeah. So that's all I said. I just reminded him. I put a quick, if awkward, pat on his shoulder. I was like, no matter what Leon says, you can turn back.
I mean, Galen hearing this, kind of
Okay.
is appreciative of the comfort from Ari, and he looks at them and just sort of like playfully like touches their shoulder, and then turns around and walks towards B.
Okay. I stand confused for a half a second of. I was being nice. Why did Galen punch me? Before seeing him just go off to B, so I'm like, yes, okay, good, and heading back to Leon and Gris.
So Leon takes the lingerie from and says, "Thank you so much for everything, and for this ship, and for helping us, and just thank you." And she says, "I don't think
I can save today, but you can save the world."
goodbye forever. I'm more fond of like temporary farewells. So I'm sure we'll see you at some point." And then Leon kind of looks at Gris and Ari and says, "We should head onto the boat once you guys say goodbye, and we should start. Gris, you can make us dinner or something."
Chris kind of nods thoughtfully, but her eyes are starting to kind of well up with tears a little bit as she walks towards B and just says, "You like to write, don't you? Will you please write me a letter? I'll write back. I think Ariadne still has some letter writing materials."
Steal my parchment. Go ahead.
Oh, and B just kind of holds on to Gris's hands and says, anything for family.
Gris smiles so hell wide and just says, "For family." And then squeezes her hand and kind of walks behind her towards the boat, not ready to really say the words goodbye.
Okay, and as they're walking up onto the boat, I just make sure they're like a couple paces away. I take B's hand really quick and I lean in to whisper, "I'll do my best to make sure he comes back in one piece." And I smile at her. And I squeeze and then I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I think we're all
gotta promise you'll be back.
I'll be back before you know it. And I promise I'll write too. I'm sure Ari's got a bunch of parchment laying around.
my parchment.
I
need it.
parchment.
Bee kind of giggles through her tears a little bit and kind of like aggressively wipes them away, still wrapped up in Galen's arms, and kind of goes, well, you gotta go find your little adventure, and you gotta tell me all about it, okay?
I'll do just that. And then Galen just like kisses the top of her head.
And he kind of just doesn't look at him in the eyes, and she just kind of is still like wrapped around and kind of just says, I'll miss you, okay? I love you.
I love you too, Bee. I miss you always.
And Bee is a little more ugly crying now. She's just like reviving her tears and goes,